quarter is Manu Ginobili's time. The idea of putting pressure on the defense, forcing the issue, gets under your skin. But the bottom line is the guy is effective. Put the ball in his hands, and he continues to make plays. Frustrated, the Utah Jazz was, and you can point the finger directly at Manu Ginobili and his effect that he had against them. Game 4, fourth quarter, 16 big points. The Utah Jazz as a team had 17. And the thing you have to point to is getting to the foul line. When you're struggling, here's a guy that went 11 for 13 from the foul line, got it done.
Tim Duncan and the Spurs, they want to wrap it up tonight. Darren Williams and the Jazz want to force another game in Salt Lake City Friday. Back to Dan.
Thank you, guys. Will the West be won tonight? Coming up next on ESPN, it's the start of Game 5 between the Jazz and Spurs. Thanks for watching Kia NBA Shoot-Around. We'll talk to you at halftime. Enjoy the game.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA Western Conference Finals. Brought to you by Miller Lite. For award-winning taste, there's no debate. Miller Lite, good call. Best Buy. Make this the summer to wow. Only at Best Buy. And Verizon Wireless and the new ESPN MVP. Available exclusively on Vcast.
Start June 7th on ABC.
Seatbelts on, Bob. This is going to be a fast one.
Oh, it's game time, baby. Woo!
You have never seen anything like it.
Hey, what can I say? It's the future, right?
Do you think you're ready?
It was bizarre and cool at the same time.
This is very new. Uncharted waters, virgin territory even.
Vcast Mobile TV. Channel surf instantly. See all your favorite ESPN mobile TV shows in digital quality. Real TV now on your phone. Exclusively from Verizon Wireless.
The Western Conference Finals are back in Texas following Monday's Game 4 that saw Utah lose a game, lose their cool, and now face losing the series. Tonight, the Jazz are staring at elimination in a city where they have not been victorious since 1999 against a superb San Antonio team that smells their 4th NBA Finals in 9 seasons. Game 5 next.
Right now.
Playoffs, right now.
It's time to pick a side. Right now. Better hang on for the ride. Right now. You know it's really do or die. Right now. The pressure starts to rise. Right now. There's glory in their eyes. Right now. There is no bigger prize.
Fun, man. We want to go back to Salt Lake City, man. Just go out here and have fun and play together as a team. Believe that we can win, man. Everybody do their job when they step on the court. Every game, you know, it's life or death, man. Believe in each other. Let's go, baby. Win and go home, man. Jazz on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Utah's season could end tonight, but young guards D. Brown and Darren Williams telling their team remain confident and they can send this series back to Salt Lake City. But they must topple the Spurs in a place they haven't won since 1999. 18 straight losses here in San Antonio. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals, along with Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy. Mike Breen with you. For the Jazz, no one expected them to be there, but their dream they want to keep alive. It's going to be a tough task, Jeff. One thing we know for sure, this team is going to play hard. They've done that all season. But basketball-wise, what's the key for them to keep their season alive?
It's simple. They've got to defend. They've got to defend the paint. They've got to limit their three-point shots. They've got to keep San Antonio off the free throw line, and then they've got to finish their defense with a defensive rebound. They must out-rebound the Spurs.
Meanwhile, of course, for Jazz, an elimination game. For the Spurs, though, very big implication for them to win it tonight.
And the reason why, the fact is, this is the oldest team in all of basketball. With a win tonight, they get a week off the rest. You have a team on the ropes, you have to look to put them away. And the Spurs ending Game 4, it was pretty ugly. They don't want to go back to Salt Lake City.
Our Miller Lite starting lineups and some changes. First for Utah, of course, same front court with Okur, Kirilenko, and Carlos Boozer. But in the backcourt, Derek Fisher expected to return by the second quarter. He was with his family today and his young daughter. Gordon Giricek gets to start in his place with Darren Williams. And for San Antonio, Fabricio Berto has been the unsung hero with Bowen and Duncan up front. And, of course, the backcourt of Tony Parker and Michael Finley for Greg Popovich. For San Antonio, this is their third clinching game of the playoffs. They had a chance to close out Denver in the first round. They did it right away. Chance to close out Phoenix in the second round. They did it right away. And they want to make sure this one does not go back to Salt Lake. For the Jazz, it's their third elimination game. They were down 3-2 in the opening round. Won game 6 and 7 against Houston to advance. Finley with the first shot of the night.
And you see the strategy of the Spurs. Michael Finley being guarded by Giricek, going at him immediately on the block.
So Bowen joining Giricek down this other end. Here's Boozer. Kirilenko, the jumper. Fabricio Berto had 11 rebounds in game 4, grabs his first. The first 2 games of this series here at San Antonio, the Spurs seem to score at will, averaged over 106 points per game as Duncan dribbles it off his foot. Jazz played much better defense in Utah.
And they really made it hard on Duncan, turning him over 13 times in the 2 games in Salt Lake.
Ball slapped out of the hands. Kirilenko tracks it down. Greg Popovich said that Duncan actually had 2 poor games in Salt Lake. Rare back-to-back. Giricek into Boozer, couldn't handle it. And last touch by the Jazz.
Well, one thing I would look to do if I'm the Spurs is we take a look at Greg Popovich and his playoff appearances as a head coach of the Spurs. Tremendous success. If I'm the Spurs, I look to attack Darren Williams on offense and on defense. Make him move with that bad left foot.
Had a sprained ankle suffered late in game 4. It's Finley 2 for 2 to start.
And the only game the Spurs lost in this series, Finley didn't have double figures. The other games, he had double figures every single time to give him that extra boost of offense that every team needs.
The veteran Michael Finley's had a strong playoff run. Nice pass. Boozer to Kirilenko. Spurs all saying in the past couple of days since that victory that this team will not give up no matter what. Talking about the Utah Jazz and know they want to close it out as Parker misses. Oberto once again just tips it out to get a new shot clock.
Can't say enough about the series that Oberto has had. His presence on both ends of the floor, keeping balls alive, and Greg Popovich said he is the key to their success.
Oberto nearly tips that in, showing some athleticism. Popovich says Oberto plays so wisely. That's the word he used. Boozer, the nice soft touch.
Boozer told us earlier, I'm going to come out looking to score. I'm going to be aggressive and force the issue on the offensive end.
Boozer said, we'll scrap to keep our dream alive. Barry Sloan's team is known for that. Duncan double team, draws the foul. And he'll shoot. The foul will go against Darren Williams, his first.
But I like the defense by Darren Williams. First of all, he sagged off Parker, so now Duncan has to catch the ball further out, and then on the dribble, they attack him with the double team. So here's the sag that you see, which makes Duncan step further out to about 12, 15 feet, and then he comes and attacks him off the dribble. And if he didn't foul him, that's a low percentage shot by Duncan.
They call the foul. Williams didn't seem like a lot of contact as Duncan hits the free throw. As we mentioned, Duncan did not have usual Tim Duncan games in 3 and 4. Greg Popovich very quick to credit the Utah Jazz, but also said Duncan made some bad decisions.
Well, and I like that. No excuses once again from a class organization, a class coach, and a class superstar. I messed up. I played bad. I have to step up in order for my team to advance.
And you know you're great when you get 19 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 blocks, and everybody's being critical.
Okora can't connect. And then Okur continues to struggle. Just 26% shooting from the field in this series. Okur, though, has done a solid job on Duncan, especially in the games in Salt Lake. Quick spin.
And I like the ball movement and man movement. Getting the ball to Tim Duncan, get everybody out of his way, and allow him to survey the lane.
Karolinko looking. Okur will try it again. Misfires again. He has not found the touch all series long.
Well, he's struggling from the field, but those are shots that he has to take. He's one of the reasons that Tony Parker explodes to the paint area, why they're here. So those are shots that Okur has to continue to be aggressive.
Parker with his magic going to the rim once again, and the Spurs lead by 5. Alberto coming out. Alberto's done a good job defensively. Okur thought he got hit, but he's 0 for 3. Parker. Bowen for 3. It's good.
And that's bad defense by Garrett coming over and helping, leaving a shooter in the corner.
And a quick timeout as the Spurs have reeled off 8 in a row.
Nothing like a team when they smell blood. Tim Duncan coming out ready to play. Offensive post move over Okur, and then Tony Parker to the paint, avoids the contact, finishing in the paint area, and Bowen says, let me get a taste, little man. Garrett, too late, got you, says Bruce Bowen.
How you doing? You ready for your first Full Throttle Fury slush?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I've just never had one before, so I'm kind of nervous.
It's energy drinking a slush. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Nah, it just gives you a little oomph, little.
What's that?
Right? A little.
How many have you had today?
Haven't had one yet.
Full Throttle Fury Slush. New at Sonic. It's a high-octane experience of a citrus energy rush in your slush. And stop in for dessert tonight because Sonic's even sweeter after dark.
Quick start for the Spurs at San Antonio. They lead 12-4. Let's check in with our sideline reporters. First, say hello to Lisa Salters.
Well, Mike, Darren Williams spent almost the entire pregame getting treatment on that right foot. He had ice, stem, and cold laser treatment just to cut down on the inflammation. I'm also told that he's wearing a steel plate in his right shoe just to give him a little bit more stability. So keep an eye on that tonight. Now for more on the Spurs, let's send it over to Michelle.
Well, the Spurs, Lisa, have won 10 of their last 13 closeout games. I asked Tim Duncan why they've been so successful, and he said, quote, kick them when they're down. We all have that mindset. We don't want this thing to go any longer than it has to. And Greg Popovich added he doesn't want his team to have a hurry-up-and-win attitude where they're skipping steps. He wants them to grind it out and, quote, make it as ugly as night as they possibly can, Mike.
All right, Michelle. Okur puts it in. Just once I'd like to hear when you ask Tim Duncan, why are you good at closeout games? He says, because of me.
How about that steel boot? That reminds me of like the great Mephisto, the wrestler, that he tapped it and then kicked somebody in the head. I'm worried about that for Darren Williams.
They had you pegged as a wrestling fan. Shot clock at 7. Good contested shot by Karolinko. And Boozer the rebound. Jerry Sloan telling his team play some defense in his own unique language during that last timeout. Okur. Karolinko on the fake. Okur gets a good open look. Ball tipped and taken by Duncan. Alberto gets his hands on another missed shot. Duncan facing, goes for the banker again. Does anybody do it better than that?
No one that's ever played the game from the power forward position. When you talk about the patience, that's the Tim Duncan that we're used to. Get everybody out of your way, and then there's just one-on-one basketball with you and Okur.
Trying to get Boozer down low. Boozer driving on Duncan. And Carlos Boozer, tough shot over Duncan.
Well, I like the fact that Carlos Boozer didn't lie to us. He said he was going to come out and look to be aggressive, and he certainly has answered the call.
Boozer was mad when he looked at the stat sheet after game 4. It said 0 free throw attempts.
I love when star players have accountability. No excuses. He said, I'm going to come out. I let my team down.
And they call a reach and foul on Okur, who mildly protests as he picks up his first. Ginobili's going to come in.
You look at Tim Duncan posting up. Swings the basketball, pivots, and then puts the ball right past Okur, having a discussion. Back up and give me airspace, and then the bank is wide open.
That creation of separation is critical in any sport. Here, Duncan, because they were bodying up, got him off him, got space. It was the same sort of play we saw Bruce Bowen do with Steve Nash. When Steve Nash was crowding him, there was a little contact, pivoted, got off of him, and separation is the key.
I don't think the people at home could see you jab stepping in your seat, though, Coach.
So Duncan knocks down another free throw. It's a very animated booth.
He made some big-time moves over here.
I was great without the other defenders on the floor. When those were cones out on the floor, there was no one that could stop me.
And Duncan, who hit some very big free throws. And the fourth quarter of game 4, knocks down a couple areas, 3 of 4. And the lead is 8. Ori knocks it away. Ori and Ginobili have come in for the strong Spur bench. Williams to Karolinko. And Karolinko misses. Boozer the offensive rebound. And one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the league. Williams knocks down a 3.
The thing you don't want to do, that was a perfect defensive possession by the Spurs. But given the Jazz a second shot opportunity, loose ball, and Williams steps into a rhythm jump shot.
That cuts the lead to 5. Single coverage on Duncan. Nice strip from Okoro. He's done that a number of times in this series. And a bump foul on Ori as they run up the floor.
If I am other teams in the Western Conference, I hire Mehmet Okoro to tell me what is the secret to defend Tim Duncan, because he has done as good a job as I've ever seen defending Duncan one-on-one.
And he's not been known as a big-time defender. He did a good job in the Houston series, Jeff, as well, as Williams misfires that one.
In the same manner, he doesn't go up and block a lot of shots. He doesn't contest a lot of shots. What he does is strip down and makes it difficult for the offensive player to find a rhythm on his shot.
Parker, left-handed. Oh, pretty play from Tony Parker. And a steal by Ori. Finds Parker. Robert Ori with the intangibles. Parker to the basket. He's fouled. And the crowd appreciative of the hustle from the veteran Ori.
Robert Ori, as Darren Williams turns his head, hits the deck, willing to sacrifice his body, gets the ball at Tony Parker. How many guards pull it out? He says, no, I'm going to keep my foot on the gas pedal, gets into the paint area, draws the contact, and going to the line again.
Spurs getting to the line often here. As for Ori, it's his 225th career playoff game tonight. Only one man has played more postseason games. That's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He can break that mark next year, and he has recently said he wants to come back. This year he talked about retirement, but if the Spurs want him, he'll be back and most likely break that record.
And I don't think it's fair when people say, well, Robert Ori has all those rings because he played with great players. No, this guy gets it done on the floor. There's a reason why he wins everywhere he goes.
6 rings as Harper's shot falls short. He did it with 3 different teams, with Houston, with the Lakers, and with the Spurs.
Yeah, because he plays with great players.
Parker again. Parker becoming a great player the last couple of years as Ori forces another turnover. Williams with a travel.
But just what we talked about, forcing the issue against Darren Williams. Test that foot. They're picking him up full court. Tony Parker's being aggressive on the offensive end, and Robert Ori once again being a pest on the defensive end.
He's got an extremely high basketball IQ, and you need guys like that to help the Stars function well.
He's so much more than big shot Rob. Parker, big shot Tony hits another. He's got 9 points in the first 7 minutes of the game, first 8 minutes of the game. And the Spurs shooting 9 of 13 from the field. Boozer left open.
It's all jump shots right now for Utah.
Alley-oop to Duncan. The Spurs putting on a show. 71% from the field. Williams blocked by Ori. And the rebound. And Parker got fouled by Okoro. Hard to hear the whistle. As this crowd in a frenzy early. You talk about an early run.
This reminds me of a great heavyweight fighter that has someone on the ropes and knows how to put him away. This Spurs team senses blood, and they are attacking on both ends.
Now, of course, in the first 2 games, nice pass, Ginobili to Ori. Kicks it out, Bowen for 3, puts it in. 12 straight points by the Spurs.
Like Yogi Berra said, it's getting late early here.
He also said it ain't over till it's over, and the Jazz certainly hope that's going to come through as Boozer comes up short.
And if you're the Jazz, the mindset has to be, okay, let's calm down and relax. Let's try to get some stops and then execute on the offensive end. There's plenty of time still left in this ball game. That should be the mindset of the Utah Jazz.
Parker to the hoop again. Tony Parker at will. A 14-0 run. Jerry Sloan not calling timeout during this stretch. He's already had to call one. Williams gets bumped. Here comes Parker, 2-on-1. And Bowen wisely slows it down.
But that 2-on-1 should have turned into a layup.
And a rare mistake by San Antonio.
If you're Jerry Sloan, you have to see that Darren Williams is hobbled right now and try to get someone else into the ball game and see if he's okay.
Nice pass. Boozer took his time, waited for Harper to get free. And now the Spurs will call a timeout. Well, that ends a 14-0 run. And it's their first points in 3.5 minutes. But the Spurs have done a lot of damage early.
So you got somebody on the ropes. Take him to the dance floor. Tony Parker smelling blood. Darren Williams on him. Does not matter. He feels like he's the best player on the floor time and time again. Give me room. Knocks down the jump shot. Dribble penetration. Showing him the entire repertoire. Tony Parker in traffic. Balling.
Three, 2, 1. The clock winds down. Bye. 3, 2, 1 second left. 3, 2, 1. Boston. Crowd goes wild.
3, 2, 1. Hey, Dad.
Fred Hickman with a SportsCenter 30 at 30 update. Busy day for Kobe Bryant, who asked to be traded from the Lakers, calling the team, quote, a mess, and then talked to Coach Phil Jackson and since has retreated from that request. In baseball, Roger Clemens will start for the New York Yankees Monday at Chicago against the White Sox. The 44-year-old Clemens, throwing a bullpen today at Yankee Stadium, deemed himself ready to go. Did the Yankees break their 5-game slide? Find out on SportsCenter after the game. But right now, back to Mike, Mark, and Jeff in San Antonio.
Fred, thanks. A freight train. The Spurs here in the first quarter, they lead at 30-13. We asked Tony Parker earlier today about the importance of closing this series tonight.
I think it's huge. I think it's a big game for us, and I think the fact that we have a veteran team, I think everybody understands that it'd be good for us if we finish tonight, because we got a lot of old guys in our team, so it'd be nice to rest, and we don't want to go back over there, and because it's a tough place to play, and then we can really end up playing a Game 7, you know, if we lose tonight.
Well, he didn't specify who the old guys were, but they are the oldest team in the league, average age over 30. Certainly not showing their age here in the first quarter.
And it's funny, last year when they lost to Dallas in the playoffs, all the critics said they were too old to be a championship team anymore. How soon they changed their mind.
Alberto, another offensive rebound. Jerry Sloan has put in a couple of rookies as Finley can't hit, and Kirilenko the rebound. Paul Millsap and D. Brown, who has not played much in the series, throws it away that time. Again, Darren Williams bothered by the sprained ankle, perhaps not being able to move. Right now, sitting on the bench early.
Here, Jerry Sloan, the mentality right now is to get stops. You've given up 30 points in the first quarter of a must-win ball game, and you have a team shooting over 70%.
He just wants some energy out there at that end of the floor. Ginobili one-on-one with Kirilenko. Does not get the roll, and Boozer the rebound. Brown so quick. Former teammate of Darren Williams in college at Illinois. He's a rookie. Millsap to the basket and able to finish.
That's Utah's game, layups. They count on layups, they count on free throws, they count on second shots. They need all of those to be efficient enough on offense to win.
Reach and foul on Boozer. But Jerry Sloan did say yesterday, because we count on layups, we can't get them against this defense. 2 fouls on Boozer, and he'll go right to the bench. Okur will come back in. It's the 15th foul. So Boozer's going to sit for a little bit. And 2 leading scorers on the bench right now for Utah. Ginobili hits the first. A reminder, TNT tomorrow. Cavs and Pistons from Detroit, Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Coverage begins at 8. It's all tied up at 2. That's been a terrific series. And then Friday, will we have a Game 6 in Salt Lake City of this Western Conference Final? And a Game 7 right now. Looks like a long way away for the Utah Jazz. They've just got to take a little bit of possession at a time. Jeff, with a team like this, young team, you're down big in an elimination game. What's the approach as Harper puts up a shot, can't get it to fall?
Well, I think you just got to try to not play the score right now. Just grind the game out, try to work it back to under 10, and then go from there. But right now, they just don't have enough offense on the floor to be consistent enough to score.
Boozer with foul trouble. Williams perhaps with some foot problem. Shot clock down to 5. Ginobili pulls back for 2. Everything going San Antonio's way. Greg Popovich saying, let's foul. We have a foul to give. And Ori nearly tips it away. Brown fires up a bad 3, rushed it. Rebound taken by Karolinko. Puts it up at the buzzer. And off the mark. And that will end a fabulous first quarter for San Antonio and a nightmare for Utah.
Pick a side right now. Better hang on for the ride right now. You know it's really do or die.
NBA cares. This season, NBA players including Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, Jason Capono, and Tracy McGrady helped thousands of young people develop a lifelong love of reading by creating 24 reading and learning centers. It's all part of the NBA's commitment to create places where kids and families can live, learn, or play. NBA cares, combining basketball and service the community.
Huge first quarter for the Spurs, up by 19. Let's go to the Coors Light freeze cam and watch Tony Parker in action once again.
Well, having his way, he's at his best when he has paint touches. His ability to get into the paint and disrupt your defense. Time and time again to set the tone for the Spurs. This guy has gotten to the paint and has finished at the rim. And then when he's not driving, the recognition, the vision. Tim Duncan, Okoro doesn't have his eyes on him. Says, put it up by the rim, baby. I'll meet you there. Tony Parker, perfect execution of the long pass. Duncan meets it at the rim with the big-time finish.
William Anthony Parker, better known as Tony, hoping to try and get the Spurs his 3rd title, the franchise's 4th. They win tonight, and they're back in the NBA Finals once again. We have a long way to go. Stolen by Finley. Turnovers hurting the Jazz. That's their 5th.
And they can double team the post like they did as Finley tees up another 3. Because there's only one 3-point shooter on the floor for Utah, and that's Mehmet Okur, who's not shooting the ball well. They have no perimeter shooting.
And the Spurs now 66% from the field. Ori picks up his 2nd foul. Darren Williams will come back in. Now, again, he's bothered by the sprained ankle, but when he was over on the bench, not receiving any treatment, no one was near him, so it's not like he was in some extra pain.
Oh, there's not much you can do. He's in pain right now, but give him credit. He's a gamer, and he's sacrificing right now being on the floor. But the Spurs smell blood.
Karolinko inside. Okur on the tip. And that's what Okur needs to do to get himself going. Ginobili steps back, hits a 3. San Antonio on fire. 4 for 5 from downtown. And just look at that score.
You look at both teams. You're looking at one team playing like it's a regular season game and another team playing like they're trying to send that team home. The Spurs are on a mission right now.
Williams, nice feed inside. Millsap finishes. Greg Popovich said, I don't think I'm going to need to give a Newt Rockne speech to my team tonight. He certainly didn't have to.
And I think another subtle thing is he's cut down his rotation from 10 to 8. He's eliminated Elson. He's eliminated Brent Berry. It's allowed him to get more offensive rhythm.
Jacques Vaughn knocking him down as well. A shooting clinic from the San Antonio Spurs. They lead 42-19.
And there's no better feeling as a coach than to have a group that you feel, I don't have to preach to them. They know exactly what they have to do, and they time and time go out next year.
Okur got hit on a three-point attempt. Jacques Vaughn in disbelief at the call as Duncan will come back in. And the Okur will take the first free throws of the night for Utah. Let's send it over to Lisa Salters.
Well, Mike, before the game, Jerry Sloan was concerned about how his team would come out tonight. He said, I don't know if they're going to fight or if they're going to treat this like a preseason game. And right now, he's absolutely disgusted with his team during at the end of the first quarter. He said, you guys are taking jump shots. You don't want to go inside because you're afraid they might slap you upside the head a little bit. Heaven forbid we get a foul call on them down there. He said, you guys are treating this like an exhibition game the way you've come out so far. You've got to run the floor. You're just standing around. Run the offense. Mike?
Well, I think it's important to point out that for our listeners, Lisa has cleaned up some of those comments from Coach Jerry Sloan, but you can tell just by the way he was acting. So angry with the way the team came out. And as Jeff, you pointed out from the beginning, settling for jump shots.
Right, and at the start of the second quarter, they've got it inside a little bit more, got a few layups. That's what they need, but it's going to come down to can they get some stops. 42 points in 14 minutes. It's not going to get it done, obviously.
Boozer with 2 fouls right now on the bench as Harper picks up his first. And the first team foul. The Jazz at times have struggled on the road. They're just 2-6 on the road in the playoffs. Blocked by Millsap, but they call a goaltend as it hit the backboard first. Good call from trail official Bernie Fry.
If you're the Jazz, you may have an excuse if you said, hey, we started the game and they just went on a barrage. They played great with a great deal of intent. It's no surprise. This is the San Antonio Spurs. It's to be expected. You're the Jazz. You have to come ready to play.
And a foul. Williams drives to the basket. Ginobili will pick up his first. Trying to watch for Williams if there's a slight lift. It doesn't appear too much. Well, right now, not as explosive as we've seen him in what has been his coming out party in these playoffs, especially this series.
By no means would I try to make excuses for him, but you can tell he doesn't have the same bounce, the same swagger, the same explosiveness with the ball in his hands. He's no longer trying to make plays by himself. He is getting rid of the basketball.
You know what that's called, Mike? Point guard apologist.
Once a point guard, always a point guard.
They stick together, don't they? My.
I am a true teller.
Unlike coaches. 44-23. First 2 games of this series, Spurs had that huge lead in the first half, though not this quickly. They usually waited to the second quarter to open it up. Jacques Vaughn misfires. Roberto got away with a push and Millsap the rebound. Okur. Williams has shot the ball well, even from 3-point range in this series. That's a long one, contested. Won't go. Rebound tipped by Harper. Gets the rebound back up, blocked, but a foul. Duncan had the rejection, but Harper got hit.
Number 4, Michael Finley.
Finley picks up his first.
And one thing playing against the Spurs throughout the course of the years, they get on your nerves. They do a good job, a great job of getting underneath your skin, underneath your nails, from top to bottom, whether it be Ginobili, Bowen, Duncan, Alberto now. These guys do a great job of throwing you off your game.
Well, the Jazz now getting to the free throw line. Harper misses a free throw. They were second in the NBA this year in free throws attempted. They drew more fouls than any team in the NBA. Very physical club. But they'll need some play from their bench. The series really is gone as the bench is gone. As good as Boozer and Williams have been, they need help.
And their glaring weakness is they need a starting two-guard. A two-guard of size who can shoot it, stretch it, and play with Ginobili. But right now, they don't have anybody who can guard Ginobili, and they don't have anyone who can score like Ginobili. And they know that building their team, that's their primary need.
Kobe Bryant's available. From what I understand.
He changed his mind.
20-point lead for San Antonio here in the second.
Scott? Did you possibly switch chairs with me?
No, not me.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Good luck finding your chair, LeBron.
Okay. Okay.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA Western Conference Finals, brought to you by Chrysler. The way our vehicles come together is what sets us apart. Chrysler, engineered beautifully.
20-point lead for San Antonio. Early second quarter. Time for Wendy's inside the game.
And it's about Tony Parker. I apologize. Last game I had him as number 5 point guard in the entire league. Must have struck a nerve because Tony Parker has come out this first quarter and more and has put on a clinic, continuing to get into the paint area and dominated the defense of the Utah Jazz. I'm sorry, Tony.
And there you see the good balance.
Did he just take credit for motivating Tony Parker?
I thought he was going to flip-flop again on some of his picks. Duncan traveled. Parker, again, you asked the people of the Spurs, what's the key to the turnaround? A couple of years ago, before the 2005 season, he completely reconstructed his shot. Chip Engelland, the assistant coach, and him work. Parker said it scared him to do so, but now he's become such a lethal shooter, you have to play him. As Harpring knocks down the jumper.
Well, you add the jump shot to the ability to get anywhere you want on the floor, and that makes you unguardable. Also, the thing that I don't think people talk enough about Tony Parker, he has a mean streak. The guy wants to be the best on the floor.
And he's not afraid to get hit. Constantly knocked down. Drives again to the basket. And fouled on the pass.
It's like he's got that sweet voice, and yet he's got that assassin mentality of driving the ball to the basket, as we see Chip Engelland, the shooting coach. But he's not afraid to take a hit, and he gives a hit, too, when he drives the ball. You don't see him getting knocked to the floor all the time. He comes to that 2-foot jump stop, jumps in, and maintains balance as he tries to finish.
How unusual is it for a major player like him to change his shot in the middle of his career?
Well, it's unusual because so many guys in a position like Tony Parker say, I got it all. I have the ring, I have the money, I have the fame. Why work on something else? But Umberto says, I still got much to go. I want the money, the fortune, and the fame, and the ring. This guy is getting it done for Greg Popovich and the Spurs.
He has been the unsung hero of this series, playing a lot more minutes, and he has produced big time for Greg Popovich.
Popovich says this guy complements Tim Duncan extremely well on the floor, doesn't get in his way, and continues to make the right decision time and time again.
20-point lead. We played 4 minutes here in the second with Mark Jackson, Jeff Van Gundy, Michelle DeFoy, and Lisa Salters. Mike Green here for Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. It's been all San Antonio. Boozer back in. Can't get it to fall. And Alberto, another rebound, his 5th. Parker right to the rim. Blocked by Karolinko.
You see the mindset of Tony Parker. He wants to get the basketball and run.
Millsap. Boozer's tip won't go. Millsap. He's got a nose for the ball. Karolinko can't hit the 3. Harpring's tip won't go. Gets it back again. And gets the bounce. And then a whistle. I believe the basket's going to count. And then a foul on Millsap afterwards. Nope, now they wave the basket off. Yep, Tom Washington says yes, count the basket.
Utah's working, though. They're working on the glass. They're pursuing the ball. They've got the ball in the paint the last few trips. Some of them haven't gone, but they're working hard to get it there.
And unfortunately, they fell behind by as many as 23. Duncan across the lane. Misses. And Boozer the rebound. Lost it out of bounds.
And you're Jerry Sloan, things aren't going your way, but you don't mind the foul on the other end, and you don't mind the turnover by Boozer because the energy and effort has picked up. Great defense against Tim Duncan, chasing down the loose ball. He's trying to do the right thing. So you're Sloan, finally, we're getting some effort on the defensive end.
Boozer, early foul trouble. He has 4 points, also 4 assists and 6 rebounds. He has really become one of the young stars in the league this year, making the All-Star team for the first time, and his numbers even better in the postseason. And there's Tom Washington checking the clock. Something wrong. I wonder if they're going to feel that maybe Boozer never had possession.
But the ball had hit the rim anyway, so it should be a reset. The thing I like about Boozer, though, is very few guys elevate their game in the playoffs. He has. And here, as we see the replay, the ball clearly hits the rim. On the offensive rebound, boom, they're up working that glass, Harpering, and then Millsap had the loose ball foul. But I want to get back to this. If Boozer somehow picks up his 3rd foul here soon, I would keep him in the game. I would not take my best player out with 3 fouls right now. I'd keep him going because if you have a huge deficit at halftime, you're not making a comeback.
No sense in saving him. If you're Jerry Sloan or Utah Jazz, no sense in saving Carlos Boozer or anybody.
So what's happening now, the officials, is what's called a correctable error. You have a certain amount of time before you can go back to a play. If you missed, for example, if a team should have shot the penalty, that last foul on Millsap, that was the 15th foul. And the officials were not alert to that. Play went on. Because the play went on just for one more play, they were able to go back and change that. Roberto, who was fouled by Millsap down the other end, now takes the free throws and the penalty.
And here's the funny thing. If Boozer had held on to the ball and the ball hadn't gone out of bounds and play had kept going, they wouldn't have been able to get these 2 free throws. So his slip cost him 2 free throws.
This is the second, however. Williams looking to push. Jazz trying to slowly get back into this one. They've had huge first-half deficits before in games 1 and 2. They still have 7 minutes to go here in the second. Harpering. Nice high-arcing shot. Won't go. Finley able to ward off Millsap.
Great box out by Michael Finley on Millsap. Bigger and stronger, but puts a body on him and chases down the rebound.
Boozer guarding Duncan with O'Toole on the bench. Duncan across the lane. Can't get it to fall. Duncan missing his second of the game. Boozer flips it up. Does not get the roll. Duncan tips it out. Here comes Parker. Well, that one was halfway down. Tough matchup for Boozer. Duncan from outside. 11 points for Duncan.
If you're Carlos Boozer, that's solid defense. You force Tim Duncan away from the rim, and he hits a tough jump hook. You live with the results. Tim Duncan just a superior offensive player.
Williams gets in the paint, and Darren Williams can't get it to fall. Harpering gets fouled. Harpering's been a spark off the bench with 7 points and 4 rebounds. And a foul call against San Antonio.
Best player on the floor, struggling. You don't stop giving him the basketball. Find Tim Duncan, him and Carlos Boozer, time to dance. Duncan, pretty jump hook.
From engines that provide power with fuel economy, to a 20-gig hard drive that provides music, photos, and directions. From systems that help keep you on the road. kids in their seats. It's the way our vehicles come together that sets us apart. Chrysler, engineered beautifully.
San Antonio Spurs 1 win away from another trip to the NBA Finals, but throughout the regular season, it was Phoenix and Dallas that was the talk of the league. Rightfully so, they played great. But that also suited Tim Duncan just fine.
Every season where there's always somebody else that's hot, there's always somebody else that's talked about, whatever it may be. It doesn't matter to us. We play for the 82 to get to the playoffs. We try to learn as much about our team throughout the regular season to be a good playoff team. And we may not have the best record in the league, we may not win our division, although we've been fortunate enough to do that a couple times. But when it comes down to it, we like to be under the radar during the season. It works for us.
And once again, another great second half, which is what this team always does, as Hoffman misses the first free throw. You see the best record in the NBA tie with the Mavericks after the All-Star break. There were some rumors about a trade, talking about getting Corey Maggette. But Greg Popovich, a couple of weeks before the trading deadline, had a meeting with the team. He said, the guys we have in this room, that's who we're going to try and win a championship with. And minutes will be predicated on how you play defensively. And they turned it around.
And that's how you lead a team. You say, hey, we are all we have. We're either going to stink together or we're going to win it all together. But we're going to do it together. And these guys have responded.
Here comes Williams, 49-28. The Spurs just jumped out of the gate. Like a tidal wave to start. O'Court inside to Brewer. Brewer getting some early minutes. Harpring gets another rebound. So Harpring's going to tear him off the bench. Williams hits a three. Not put on the line, a two-pointer. And the lead cut to 19.
But it tells you that Williams is not 100% because prior to that shot, had the basketball with Tim Duncan guarding him at the top of the key. Did not look to make a move, got rid of the ball.
Same in transition. He's not looking to probe early in the clock like he did in Game 4.
Ronnie Brewer, the rookie from Arkansas, getting some unusual minutes here as Parker draws the foul on Williams, nearly puts it in. And Darren Williams picks up his second personal.
Well, obviously, Jerry Sloan is searching for a two-guard that can give him a spark. Juracek didn't get off to a good start. It's very difficult with Harpring and Karolinko to have enough shooting on the floor. Fisher not here. He's given the rookie a chance, and it's a tough situation. D. Brown has to play in a closeout game. Ronnie Brewer in a closeout game. Tough position for Jerry Sloan to be in.
So Parker knocks down the first. Alberto gets a nice ovation as he sits down. There's Brewer. He's only played 2 minutes in this series. Parker misses the second. And a rebound from Williams. Let's send it over to Lisa Salters.
Well, Mike, as you guys know, Derek Fisher not here because he and his family spent the day in New York City where 10-month-old daughter Tatum, Derek and his wife Candace, their 10-month-old daughter Tatum, was receiving her second round of chemotherapy for eye cancer. She's got a condition known as retinoblastoma, and they get treatment back in New York City at Sloan Kettering Hospital. Derek told me a couple nights ago that he picked this date a couple of weeks ago when they went for the first treatment. He had no idea what the schedule would be like. He said he had hoped to be here by tip-off time, but right now, no ETA on his arrival.
And Lisa, Jerry Sloan and the entire organization have told Derek Fisher, just do what comes first. Obviously, family, they've been very supportive. And Fisher having his, obviously, his priorities in order. And the free throw is good. 18-point lead. It's been a very emotional stretch for Fisher. He's had some great games, but you know it's also taken its toll emotionally for him. And he tries to get back for this game. Duncan double. Ginobili dribbles it off his foot. And it's going to be Utah ball. 4:07 remaining. Jazz, it's kind of settled it in. With 4:07 remaining in the half, they can seriously get into this lead, Jeff.
All they have to do is try to get it to 10. At some point here, by halftime or in the third quarter, give themselves a fighting chance.
And a foul called on Bowen. You know, I like that call from this reason. I've said all along, anytime a player falls on the floor, you can step on his head and you'd never see a foul call. It's like the rules are out the window, but there's no question that Bowen jumps on him.
Well, there's no foul by Bruce Bowen. He is trying to get the basketball right there, and Karolinko lifts his legs up, realizing that Bowen is there. I say that's no foul on Bowen at all.
Oh, he put his arms around him.
That's good defense.
You're out of your mind.
We must have a different monitor. But if Bowen would have dove on him, I would have been fine with that. Then anything goes. If you'll go head first into a guy, I have no problem. There's no foul. But reaching down like that.
You look at Bowen. His legs are stretched wide open, and he puts his hand on the basketball. Karolinko is the guy that gets up. It's a jump ball prior to anything else happening.
Jump ball? He never touched the ball. How can it be a jump ball without touching the ball?
It's back to 16. Bowen, meanwhile, picks up his second foul and goes to the bench. But you rarely see that call the foul when a guy's on the floor. Parker to the basket and a foul. And Williams has picked up his third. Tony Parker has been marvelous here in the first half.
And I watched the Eastern Conference last night. They allowed Larry Hughes on one leg to play the game of basketball until he got out of the ballgame. Tony Parker and the Spurs realized that Darren Williams is not 100%. Attacking them both on the defensive end, and Tony Parker with the basketball is looking to get by Darren Williams offensively.
And that's part when you guys talk about high basketball IQ. It's a guy knowing what his opponent's in trouble with and taking advantage. How about D. Brown and Ronnie Brewer both in the game with the foul trouble and Fisher's absence. Boozer, tough shot over Duncan, won't go. Ginobili the rebound.
There's just no room on the floor right now for Carlos Boozer to get to the basket. They have no perimeter shooting on the floor.
Or he passes up a three, much to the chagrin of the crowd. Duncan spinning, tough shot. Rebound tip, taken by Okura. Here goes Brown. Karolinko spinning. Offensive foul. Ginobili draws the charge. Second on Karolinko.
That's great defense by the Spurs. Getting back, collapsing as a group, and Ginobili stopping the dribble penetration of Karolinko, stepping in and taking the hit.
Now they're already a little shaken up. He's saying somebody come in for him. Parker directing the offense, puts it up. Not that time. And Boozer with his 7th rebound. But they can't get him shots, as you said, Jeff.
They're not even playing Brewer on the perimeter. Makes it the entry pass more difficult. It makes the post game more difficult.
Lots of contact there. Ball deflected to Boozer, and he's fouled. A broken play, and Boozer takes advantage. And we'll take a timeout. Just over 2.5 remaining, second quarter in San Antonio. The Spurs trying to make it to the NBA Finals for the 4th time in franchise history. A victory tonight puts them in. And right now, they've got a comfortable 18-point lead.
No matter what the label looks like, no matter how you say it, one beer is the perfect choice at any corner bar in any corner of the world. Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser. Open up a world of taste.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA Western Conference Finals. Brought to you by Budweiser. Reach for a Budweiser. The perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Open up a world of taste.
Back in San Antonio with the Spurs lead by 18. Good coach Greg Popovich not satisfied. Wants things better.
Okay, right now it's 8-0 on the offensive board. They got 7 offensive boards. Brucey, you got to keep him up. I know he's great, but you got to face guard him or something.
He's talking about Matt Harper, who already has 4 offensive rebounds. Let's send it over to Michelle Tafoya.
Well, in that last huddle, Greg Popovich just told his team, hey, let's finish off this quarter. We've got 2:36 left to play. We need 3 or 4 or 5 stops. We've really got to rebound. That's keeping the Jazz in the game right now. That's where we got to make the difference. Mike?
Well, the Jazz have had trouble staying in it in the first half. They've had some good second half runs talking about the games here in San Antonio, and they missed another free throw, 8 for 14. Just can't miss free throws when you're down by this margin.
And what Greg Popovich was referring to as far as face guard blocking out, instead of turning your back to prevent the guy from getting an offensive rebound, you stay face to face with him. It may take you out of getting the rebound, like you were saying to Bowen, but it will at least prevent Harpring from getting a running start to the rim.
Duncan. Brown chasing Parker. Out to Ginobili. Open three. It's good.
And we've talked so much about the decision-making of Tony Parker. He's a scorer coming off pick-and-roll basketball, but making the adjustment. Help there, he finds Ginobili wide open for the shot.
Karolinko trying to post up Finley. He's got the height advantage. Karolinko not really a post-up player, though, as he shows by that shot, but he got hit. And he'll shoot two.
Did you just say he got hit? Michael Finley played solid defense. Karolinko turns and takes a shot. Cannot bail him out by calling that foul and allowing him to go to the line.
But it's hard to play post-up basketball. I don't care who you're trying to post up in this league when you don't have perimeter shooting on the floor to keep the perimeter defenders honest. Right there, D. Brown's in front of him, so Parker's sitting in his lap.
Brent Barry will come in. Finley will sit down. And we'll remind you, if you want to hear what the coaches and players have to say about tonight's game, log on to NBA.com immediately following the game for the live press conferences and video highlights of the Spurs and the Jazz exclusively on NBA.com. Off a free throw miss, Okura the rebound. Under 2 minutes remaining. What has been a nightmare first half for the Jazz. Brown, Okura, that's a 2, puts it in. And then Okura showing some signs of life offensively. He's got 8 points.
I'm a big believer in doing you. Whatever your strength is, go down doing it. If you're Mehmet Okura struggling all series long, you have a wide open shot, you have to shoot the basketball.
Parker misses, Duncan keeps it alive. Parker won't go, rebound tipped, and here comes Brewer. Brewer to Boozer inside, and offensive foul on Boozer. Boy, that's a tough call. And Boozer picks up his third.
Well, that's a tough call. You get the ball in transition, Brewer makes the proper play, and then Boozer trying to avoid the contact. Brent Barry doing a great job of selling the offensive foul. Not much contact, and Boozer gets called with a charge.
And the technical part of that call is his heels were lifted off the ground. If they determined that his heels would have hit the restricted area, that would have been a charge anyway.
Parker kicks it out. That's a 3. Way off, an air ball. Parker gets it. But Barry does his job and draws that charge. Barry, who did not play in game 4, shot clock at 2. Parker's shot won't go. Brewer the rebound.
And I guarantee you, Brent Barry doesn't make that play in Seattle. The culture here in San Antonio is that everybody defends.
Meanwhile, Duncan defends and also fouls D. Brown. And then Brown will go to the free throw line. Duncan picks up his first. So D. Brown, a rookie from Illinois, he was their second-round pick. They had a couple of very nice second-round picks this year between Brown and Millsap. Brown, a teammate of Darren Williams. He went to the championship game at Illinois. Comes from a pretty good high school as he misses the first Proviso East High School in Maywood, Illinois. A couple of former players, Doc Rivers, and a current player, Michael Finley, both went to that high school. As we go over to Lisa.
Well, Mike, Derek Fisher, we are told, is just minutes away from the arena here in San Antonio. He's about 3 miles away, and he does know that his team needs him right now. He asked for the number of the radio station here in San Antonio. The PR staff gave it to him, so he knows that they need him.
That's to the mileage of how far he is away from the arena.
That's just getting it done. That's beautiful.
Ginobili rushed a shot, rebound, Brown again.
The reason why that's not a rush shot is because in that situation, they want to go 2 for 1. They wanted to get the basketball back. Ginobili, quick shot. With the stop, they get possession again.
There's now a 4-second difference. Brown fires away. Won't go. Rebound tip taken back by Brown. And the shot never hit the rim. So a 24-second violation. And a 20-second timeout call by Greg Popovich.
20-second timeout.
So Greg Popovich will talk it over. His team is led by as many as 23. And it got the lead down to 16. That could have been a nice basket. Meanwhile, for the San Antonio Spurs, they have been just terrific. What you expected from this team, the way they've come out right from the start, so impressive. But the Jazz, they're hanging in there.
They are. That would have been a big hoop if they could have got it down to 14, gotten a stop, felt good about themselves going into halftime.
Well, it's a good mindset because they finally shown up, playing with a great deal of intensity. The aggressiveness has really increased. And the bottom line to Jerry Sloan, you want to get back into the locker room and try to regroup your team.
Well, they've trailed at halftime by 18 and by 17 in the first 2 games of the series. They're closer than that. Final seconds. Parker stripped by Brown. Nice play. He thought he was fouled. And that will end the first half. Parker pleading for a whistle. And it's not going to happen. Jerry Sloan with some words for Greg Willard, just asking a question. Parker was magnificent here in the first half. 14 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. The Spurs went up by as many as 23, but they'll head to the locker room with a 16-point lead. Let's go to Michelle.
All right, thanks very much, Mike. I know you're a little miffed right now about the no call down there, but other than that, a 16-point lead for you guys. What's been so different about this game that you didn't have in Utah?
We're shooting the ball well. We're shooting a lot better than game 4. Playing with a lot more confidence, and ball movement is better than last game. And our defense is pretty good, and hopefully we can keep the lead.
Yeah, what is your biggest concern about the second half? Because you've seen Utah cut into big leads like this before.
Can't let down. We need to play in the same way with same energy, the same intensity. Utah's not going to give up, so we need to keep playing hard.
Tony, thanks for stopping. Mike?
Sometimes, Michelle, as he says, it simply is they're making their shots. Parker made his, 6 of 12 from the field. Our Toyota halftime show is coming up. We'll have first half stats and analysis from the gang, plus a look at Kobe's future and a preview of what has become a very interesting series between the Cavs and the Pistons. Toyota halftime show coming up right after these messages.
Right now, the pressure starts to rise. Right now, there's glory in their eyes. Right now, there is no bigger prize.
Full throttle Fury slush. It's got that energy drink and a slush thing.
I'm feeling its full power right now. Senses are heightened to an extreme acuity right now.
Okay.
Give me a second. I want to listen to the grass grow.
Oh, I will let you do that all day long. What, did the grass tell a joke?
No, a ladybug told another ladybug a joke.
Full Throttle Fury Slush. New at Sonic. It's a high-octane experience of a citrus energy rush in your slush. And stop in for dessert tonight because Sonic's even sweeter after dark.
She is a 2-time WNBA champion.
Detroit wins its second championship.
A 2-time NCAA champion.
Swing cash. Beautiful work.
A 2-time WNBA All-Star.
Who runs the court harder than Swing cash?
An Olympic gold medalist. And she's a winner of the WNBA Community Assist Award. Have you seen her?
Welcome to the Toyota Halftime Show.
Tony Parker perhaps taking advantage of that tender ankle by Darren Williams, leading the San Antonio Spurs with 14 first half points, led by 19 at the end of one, 23 at one point in the first half. They lead by 16 at halftime. Toyota Halftime Show, Dan Patrick, Stephen A. Smith, John Barry, and Michael Wilbon. Let me get to your keys to victory for the Utah Jazz. How'd that checklist go in the first half?
Well, take a wild guess, Dan. Not very well. First, we want to get Mehmet Okur going. He did have 8 points, 3 rebounds on 3 of 7 shooting. Stop one of the big 3. Well, all 3 of them in double figures for 37 points. And play with an attitude. Play loose. I don't think they could be any tighter. 32% shooting, allowing the Spurs to shoot 54%. Same old story as in game 1 and 2 for the Utah Jazz. And I think we can start the bus, guys.
Michael, let me ask you about this. We've seen the San Antonio Spurs here, first two games and in the first half. These are time capsule type performances here. Your thoughts on what you saw with the Spurs?
Well, Dan, it doesn't seem like the Spurs are playing a specific opponent. They're in a place right now where they're trying to perfect what they do. I mean, they seem like they're putting on some sort of basketball art form, and they sort of in the last half, the second half of Game 4 and the first half of this game, so remind me of the Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Phil Jackson, Chicago Bulls, and that they're just going about what it is that they do, and they're not really worried about you, and they know they're in a place right now where they're playing the best basketball that any team in the NBA could play at this point.
And I like what Jalen Rose said in the first half. He was saying that they played well from the neck up. They're a smart team.
Yeah, that's true, but you know what? It's really not that complicated. We sat here the first 3 games of the series, the first 4 games of the series. I'm sorry, we talked about the importance of Darren Williams. What happened? He comes out there with a bum ankle. He's clearly not himself. And Tony Parker, being a shark that he is, as a member of the San Antonio Spurs, sniffing blood, went right at him. Scored 11 points in the fourth quarter, was blowing by him, had Jerry Sloan there speechless with his mouth open like this. Yeah, it was really that simple, y'all. And as Darren Williams goes, so do the rest of the Utah Jazz. You had to put somebody else on the floor in order to try and get something, and that wasn't going to happen. It's simple and plain. I said it before this game that it was over.
Yes, you did.
And pretty much that's how it looks right now.
The Utah Jazz have put themselves in a pretty select company. I don't know if this is something the coach is pointing out at halftime, but these are the largest deficits to overcome to win a game. Conference Division Finals history. The Celtics are the ones who have overcome the biggest deficit. That was 0-2 against New Jersey. We'll look at the Eastern Conference coming up on the Toyota Halftime Show, and also the other major NBA story today, Kobe's request to be traded. Is he backing off that demand? And we'll look ahead to Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals. We're live in San Antonio, halftime of the Western Conference Finals.
The Toyota Halftime Show is brought to you by Toyota. Moving forward.
The passage is intense. But if you complete the journey, you will find your destiny among the world's greatest warriors. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Jeter singles to start the 8th.
Go ahead, take it. Here's the thing. That Schmendrick, he keeps looking over here. And that one, he's got a gun. But you gotta do what you gotta do. Ah, Steven, it's a beautiful day.
Welcome back to the Toyota Halftime Show.
This was moments ago. Derek Fisher, the Utah Jazz, he had been in New York with his ailing daughter. They were visiting a physician for a follow-up checkup. His daughter has eye cancer, so Fisher arriving at halftime, expected to suit up for the second half. His team down by 16. For the latest ongoing soap opera in Lakerland, first, Kobe Bryant told Stephen A. Smith he wanted out of L.A. Then I talked to him later on. He toned down that talk after talking to his coach and then completely backed off the trade talk in an interview with KLAC. Let's go to another superstar who's still playing. LeBron James, Game 4 last night, and look out below. 50-43 Cavs at halftime, fourth quarter. LeBron by 3 defenders and still makes the shot. Later in the fourth, this become a signature move. And against one of the better defenders in Tayshaun Prince. 4 seconds to go, Cavs by 2, and Richard Hamilton just stopping by to see if LeBron's got some confidence at the line. He nails them both. 25 points, 14 in the fourth quarter. We are knotted at 2. Toyota moving forward as we look ahead to tomorrow night's Game 5. John, what do you expect?
Well, I expect this thing to go the distance, and I don't understand why people aren't giving the Cleveland Cavaliers any credit and giving them any chance to win this thing. 2 one-possession games in Detroit. LeBron James answers the bells in Game 3 and 4 at home. He's broken through. I think this Cleveland team's got a great shot to pull this off.
I do too, John. I mean, LeBron now is just playing better every game. Better in the fourth quarter, doing things he didn't do in the regular season, like hitting free throws in the fourth quarter. I don't know who's not giving him a chance. I mean, this is something that if Cleveland can go in there and steal Game 5 in Detroit, would it shock me to see Cleveland win this in 6? No, they've outplayed Detroit for the most part for 4 straight games.
We talked about Detroit, though. Those first 2 games, they struggled to win at home. Now going back, who's got the advantage?
Well, bottom line is, they have the advantage because they're on their home court, and it's very difficult to succeed in Detroit. Expect a big game from Chauncey Billups. This guy plays under pressure situations, hasn't played well. I expect him to step up big. Everybody knows he hasn't been himself. Rip Hamilton, for that matter, he needs to play better too, and I expect him to do that. But you got to give some love to LeBron James, not just because of what he's doing on the court in terms of being the captain and doing all the things he's been doing. Hitting free throws, that was his Achilles heel, because what it did was it prevented him at times from being aggressive in the fourth quarter because he was scared to go to that free throw line. I don't care what he says. I think that was his only Achilles heel. He seems to have resolved that, and because of that, I expect big things, but they're still a Detroit Pistons. Until you take them out, I'm not convinced Cleveland can do it.
And you said LeBron's got to get 25 or more. He can't have that 18 or 19 and, be a facilitator. You expect that even in Detroit from him?
I do expect that. He's figured out a way to be successful against this Detroit defense. You can't expect Daniel Gibson to come up with 21 again. LeBron's got to be the guy, Mike.
Especially on the road. I mean, your role players play better at home. They did that to even the series, but it is LeBron. There may still be some passes in there. He still needs another teammate or two to get hot and hit some shots and keep the Pistons from loading up on him in Game 5.
That's why they're not winning tomorrow night. That's why they're going to lose, and that's why this series is going 7 games, because you're in Detroit. You don't have the supporting cast. Respect them. They're up and coming. They're about a year or 2 away. Not yet, though. Not yet.
Oh, it's not over?
It's not over. It ain't Utah. It's not Utah.
Over.
It's not Utah, but still in all, they're going to Detroit.
We saw Gooden and Gibson. They stepped up last game, so maybe that's part of the supporting cast LeBron is going to need. Coming up, second half, Tony Parker and Tim Duncan. Parker set the tempo, 11 first-quarter points. One of his 3 assists, this one to Tim Duncan, who had 11 points. Parker leading the way with 14. Second half coming up.
The Toyota Halftime Show is brought to you by Toyota. Moving forward.
These are our seats right here.
Yeah?
Oh, this is awesome! Come on, let's do it now. Awesome! Yes, sir! Everybody's gonna get hands. Hey, we're all hanging out tonight.
If you could sit here for the same price as here,
Peanuts.
why wouldn't you?
Oh,
it's the same with auto insurance. With discounts up to 40%, it's possible to get the personal service of a State Farm agent for the same or less than those other guys. Call an agent 24/7 or visit statefarm.com.
Nothing inspires you to take things to the next level like Craftsman know-how.
The NBA Finals start June 7th on ABC.
The NASCAR Busch Series. Coming off his first win of the year, Casey Kane takes on defending race champ Jeff Burton at Dover's Monster Mile. The NASCAR Busch Series at Dover, Saturday at 2:30 on ESPN2. Now it's time for the McDonald's I'm Lovin' It highlights.
Traffic, premiums, go!
McDonald's Unlimited Highlights.
Every game this series, the Spurs have led at halftime, but now the Jazz getting some help. Derek Fisher just arriving back from his trip to New York City to continue his infant daughter's treatment for eye cancer. And the Jazz glad to have him back. Hi again, everyone, with Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy, Mike Breen with you. What an impressive first half for the San Antonio Spurs. And once again, Tony Parker showing that he has really gone up a couple of levels in his play.
Every great pick and roll player comes off the pick and roll thinking score. Either turn the corner, or if they go under the screen, shoot the jump shot. Here, Tony Parker is going to come off the pick and roll. It's a weak show by Mehmet Okur, no perimeter help, and he finishes with his left hand. Now he comes off the pick and roll. Kirilenko is guarding Ginobili, is at the nail, gives full body help. Parker kicks it to Ginobili for the wide open three. Pick and roll, turn the corner every time.
Meanwhile, our Gatorade Cooler Talk centers around Tim Duncan.
Oh, Mom, Dad, you have a young kid that wants to be a post player, get the TiVo ready. When you talk about Tim Duncan and his ability to pick teams apart and individuals apart, body on him, you got to find a way to create airspace. Guess what he does? Sell the move. Quick swing move, airspace, knocks down the rhythm jump shot. Second move, airspace just simply by a spin move. Buy in space and finishing with the jump hook. And then the dream, that's Hakeem Olajuwon's move. Gets Boozer off of him and knocks it down. 3 plays, 3 low post variety plays.
Right now, let's send it to Michelle.
2 big concerns for Greg Popovich at halftime, Mike. Rebounding. He said we did a lousy job. They got 13 second chance points. Our bad job on the rebounding caused us to get behind and get caught up in mismatches. And also the free throws. He cited Utah's 19 free throw attempts because of their aggressiveness. That's another concern. Now over to Lisa with the Jazz.
Thanks, Michelle. Assistant Phil Johnson said our intensity level in the first half was just awful. They were just shooting the ball in our faces. On the other end, guys were trying to do too much individually. We weren't executing our offense. And I asked him how much will having Derek Fisher back, how much will that help? And he said it will help a lot because D. Will is struggling. And I also asked him, are you looking for another superhuman effort from Derek? He said, I hope so. Mike?
Fisher did this once before in the playoffs. Game 2 against Golden State. He arrives in the third quarter as Kirilenko gets to the basket, misses the layup. And Alberto the rebound. Well, Fisher did that in the first time he took his daughter to New York City for the initial treatment and made some very big plays in what turned out to be an emotional victory against the Golden State Warriors in the second round. Duncan takes his time and packs it in.
And I would think about putting Fisher on Parker and Williams on either Bowen or Finley to try to get him off the ball where he's not having to be moving laterally with that ankle.
Williams 7 points in that first half. You can see just not moving as well. Had a couple of turnovers. Tries to drive on Bowen. Oh, flips it up. Tough shot from Williams.
That's a tough shot. Lucky shot, I might add also.
Just over a minute gone by here in the third. This game 5, the loss of the Jazz and what's been a great playoff ride comes to an end. Somehow they can come back with a magnificent comeback that force a Game 6 Friday night back in Salt Lake City. Duncan. Tough hanger. And here come the Jazz. Kirilenko flips it out. Fisher's first opportunity, and he's short. In games 1 and 2 here in San Antonio, Spurs had an 18-point lead and a 17-point lead. Jazz cut it both times to 7 in the fourth quarter, but could get no further or no closer than that. Finley fires away. Finley's had a nice touch tonight.
And right now, that's the best offense for the San Antonio Spurs. Putting the ball in Tony Parker's hands, playing pick-and-roll basketball, and getting spot-up jump shots. All Tim Duncan on the move on the block.
Williams pass deflected by Bowen. Bruce Bowen, what a playoff run he's had. He's had to guard Allen Iverson in the first round, Steve Nash in the second. And Darren Williams, who was so emerged here in these playoffs here in this round. Williams, off balance, puts it in. And he's limping now pretty badly as he hobbles down the floor. You can just see he has no real explosiveness.
talking to Jerry Sloan before the game, he said, hey, this guy's a gamer. He shows up ready to play, and through it all, no matter what, thick and thin, he's a guy that's willing to put it on the line. That's the type of guy you want to build a franchise around.
Parker on a penetration block, but a foul, and that's 4 on Williams. Popovich calling Bruce Bowen over to check.
This is Tony Parker selling the shot. Okoro gives up on the play. Williams has to commit the foul. If you're Okoro, you have to battle defensively. That's surrender, and that's matador defense, and that's unacceptable.
Williams trying to talk to Tom Washington about what he thought was a foul down the other end. As Parker to the free throw line again. Aaron Williams is going to come out with 4 fouls. Guracek will come in. Bowen's also going to take a seat. Greg Popovich had some harsh words. You could tell he was calling him over, and Bowen very slowly walked over to the sideline. But Popovich has such respect for what Bowen does. Guard the opponent's best player night in and night out. He says that's what he tells him to do. And he says, oh, by the way, we'll never run a play for you.
And here's what I love about it. Bruce Bowen's over there steaming right now. He's out of the game, but he understands, hey, I'm not going to hold it against my team or my coach. I'm going to go out and be ready to continue to do my job. That's professionalism.
Finley to Duncan. Good defense from Boozer. Alberto again tips it to a teammate. That's the 3rd time tonight he's done that. In addition to 9 rebounds. Pick and roll, Duncan lays it in. Perfectly executed.
That's how you run pick and roll basketball. Tony Parker's having a discussion, and time again, he's making the right play. Threads the needle and finds Tim Duncan for an easy lane.
Boozer, nice move from Boozer.
He likes to go to that right shoulder into the middle from the right block. There he countered back to the baseline, using the rim for protection from the shot block.
Boozer playing with 3 fouls and some early foul difficulties. Ginobili for 3. And Karolinko with his 5th rebound.
But you see what the Spurs are doing, putting the ball in Tony Parker's hands and playing pick and roll basketball.
Fisher, good drive, can't finish. Fisher yelling at Tom Washington for a foul. Parker to the basket, foul, and the shot won't go. And down the other end, Alberto, slow to get up. Relacing the sneaker.
And the key right now is Tony Parker. He is making plays to help. Buys Tim Duncan a second. The delivery of the basketball before Boozer can come over and change the shot, and Duncan finishes at the rim.
5 assists, 0 turnovers tonight for Parker. To go along with his 16 points. Alberto's sneakers are okay. He's back along the lane.
Even in that last situation, it's Tony Parker pushed the ball in transition. If you're the Jazz, you have to run back as a unit. He's able to play one-on-one fast break basketball.
You see, he had the early turnover problems, 13 in the first 2 games. But none tonight. Lead back to 20. The Spurs jumped out. They were up 19, 9 minutes into the game. They've led by as many as 23. Trying to close out this series tonight. Guracek. Not even close from Finley, the rebound. Single coverage. And Duncan tried to back it, won't go. Boozer the rebound. 10 rebounds for Boozer. Okoro. And Okoro 3 for 9 tonight. His rough shooting continues. Alberto spinning, jumper, knocks it down. Fabrizio Alberto having another terrific game for a role player.
This is the 5th game, and I'm trying to remember one thing that this guy has done wrong. He has been perfect throughout the course of this entire series.
Well, he held up the game a couple of minutes ago with that sneaker. Try the alley-oop to Duncan. Here comes Fisher. But Alberto has really been terrific. Karolinko able to connect. Williams again, not 100%, plus 4 fouls. He'll be on the bench for a while. And Greg Popovich calls timeout. His team has come out with a vengeance right from the start. And right now we have a 20-point lead as we approach the midway point of the third quarter.
Starts out cold and ends up refreshing. Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
This copyrighted telecast of the NBA may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise used without the written consent of the NBA. Log on to NBA.com immediately following the game for live press conferences and video highlights.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA Western Conference Finals. Brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
Back in San Antonio, Spurs up by 20. Some ways you can say that Tim Duncan is an underrated great player. You tend to take his greatness for granted. But his teammate Tony Parker not trying to take him for granted.
For me, it's something special. You know, I was talking with my dad, and I was like, I was telling him I need to enjoy all those years, you know, playing with Timmy, because when I'm going to be 28 or 29, it won't be nobody. The whole team is going to be different, and I'm really enjoying this time of the year, because maybe for me, I will never maybe come back anymore, you know, to the conference finals, or if we win, you know, go to the NBA finals, you know. And I was talking with my dad that Timmy is so special, you know, because he's so unselfish, and it's hard to have a superstar who's willing to share.
Wonderful words to hear from a teammate.
He's embracing Tim Duncan and what he's meant not only for his career, but the success of the San Antonio Spurs. That's something you don't take for granted.
They want a foul, and Ginobili hits Giricek.
In the NBA, it's all about your best players helping to unite and inspire your team through their hard work and unselfishness. And if you've got the right best players, they're going to do that. If you have the wrong best players, you have absolutely no chance of winning in this league.
Giricek knocks down the first one. And Duncan is the type that he's so happy when his teammates do well. I mean, he knows he has to lead the team, but so unselfish. Really is one of those guys, doesn't care what he scores as long as the team wins.
You know, I think every player, every great player has ego, and they care about their individual production, but they can also take pride in other people's success and are genuinely happy for their teammates' success. And again, that's rare in this league when your best players take pride and are genuinely happy for other players.
Duncan will be happy to go to the free throw line as Araujo just came in, commits his first foul. Duncan 3 of 4 from the free throw line tonight.
To even add on that, it really is contagious. You're talking about a head coach in Popovich that feels the same exact way. It's because of Tim Duncan. He's the guy that sets the tone.
Well, the San Antonio Spurs, they have the longest lottery drought in the NBA. And the reason is the last time they were in the lottery, they picked him #1. They won the lottery. He became the #1 selection. And they haven't had many good picks over the years, but a credit to the front office, Greg Popovich and R.C. Buford, that they've been able to surround Duncan with key players despite not having top picks. And there's R.C. Buford, very understated, has done a tremendous job along with Popovich. Of course, Duncan also said he had the perfect situation starting with that man, David Robinson. They won a couple of titles together, and Duncan trying to get his 4th ring this year.
And it's about passing the torch. The way that David Robinson conducted himself as a professional, as one of the all-time greats, handed it off to Tim Duncan, and he's doing the same exact thing. There's young players on his team and around his league that's watching him play every single night.
Araujo with a nice move, the 3rd-year player from BYU, who got some early minutes, some games in in the first two. It's a nice job defensively on Duncan. A foul call. That's going to go against Boozer. That's Boozer's fourth.
And again, you have to study scouting reports. When Robert Horry comes on the run to set a screen on the ball, 90% of the time he's going to slip out of that and go to the basket. There's no reason to be caught off guard on that slip in Game 5 of this series.
Especially in a situation where you pick up your fourth foul. That's a situation where if you're Carlos Boozer, you don't want to pick up a foul chasing Robert Horry on the perimeter.
Bowen off the dribble, kicks it out. Ginobili for three. Araujo the rebound. Now look for the lineup now. Araujo with Giricek, Fisher, Kirilenko, and Millsap. Not a lot of offense out there, and they're down by 20. Giricek, he traveled.
And I'll bet you this unit for Utah on the floor has played less than 100 minutes total together this year.
Very slow has liked to use his bench, but his key guys now, his top three scorers, all sitting down right now in Boozer, Williams, and Okura.
Oh, he's trying to put this group out on the floor to get a spark plug defensively and maybe get something going. Coach is searching, but this is not the crew, in my opinion, that's going to get it done. 0 fast break points for the Utah Jazz tonight, and it's because of the inability of Darren Williams to break down the Spurs defense.
Fisher picks up the foul, Jazz in the penalty, and Parker will go to the line. Thinking about Parker talking about playing with Duncan. Tony Parker's only 25 years old. Of course, he started, he was a 19-year-old point guard when he came here. A little-known point guard. In fact, the first time that Greg Popovich watched him, he didn't think he was any good. And R.C. Buford brought him another tape. Said, you got to look, because you see Tony Parker Sr., who was a pretty good player in his day, and his fiancée, Eva Longoria. And Buford said, look again at this kid. He's going to be pretty good. And Popovich was convinced.
And people probably look and say, well, how did you have to look twice? Well, this is not the same Tony Parker that Popovich saw. This is a polished Tony Parker that's a complete basketball player.
Shot clock winding down. Araujo, nice up and under move. And he draws the foul. Araujo said that Duncan is really one of his idols after defending a couple of games ago. He'll go to the line for a couple.
This guy's had a rough NBA career. Lottery pick to Toronto. Didn't work out. Got traded back to Utah. Hasn't gotten the minutes he's wanted. But every Jazz coach says the same thing about him. An extremely hard worker. Comes early, stays late. So when he gets his opportunity in the Western Conference Final, he plays well.
He's a native of Brazil. When he arrived in the United States, he went to junior college. He arrived with one suitcase and $10. The coaching staff, when he arrived, kind of laughed at him at a junior college in Arizona. And he didn't speak any English. He taught himself English by reading children's books and watching television. Went 2 years at junior college, and then a couple of years at BYU, and now in the NBA.
$10? $10. I had to talk to him. I took on my butt.
That JUCO was paying off.
Down. Duncan. And Araujo just got on under him and picks up his second foul.
The Jazz have done a great job defending Tim Duncan throughout the course of this series, fending him away from the rim, forcing him into jump hooks, turnaround jump shots. Sure, he can knock him down, but they are playing the odds, playing the percentages, making him more of a perimeter post-up player.
And that look you saw on the Jazz bench, that's not a good look. The body language right now for Utah, down by 21 with 3:48 remaining here in the third. There you see the two former teammates in Illinois realizing that it might come to an end. It has been an amazing run for the Utah Jazz. Those two were all-stars this year. No one expected them to be here in the Western Conference Finals. Everybody talking about Phoenix and Dallas, and of course San Antonio, as the Spurs have now matched their largest lead of the game. but they have come up against a Spurs team that is playing at such a high level.
So looking at that picture of D. Brown and Darren Williams as Juracek attempts to drive to the hoop, I like seeing young guys frustrated and upset about falling short. They have every right now to be on the bench excited, saying, hey, we did it. We've arrived as a team, and you are a superstar. No, it's not time to celebrate. Be upset.
Duncan, and the lead is 25. What a performance from the San Antonio Spurs tonight.
They are a great passing team. That time off the pick and roll, Ginobili. First good pass into Elton, and then a nice touch pass to Duncan on the roll to the rim.
John Vaughn to push. 3 minutes remaining. This game that has been a blowout most of the way. Again, San Antonio went up by as many as 19 in what was an incredible first quarter. Nelson. Oh, Millsap goes down hard as he went for the little head fake. And we'll have a timeout.
Just solid basketball. That's why the Spurs are so successful. It's about Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and the rest of the cast continuing to make plays, continuing to get it done on both ends of the floor. They just pick you apart. This is a special group.
Have you enjoyed a Budweiser lately? Because I can only describe the smoothness you'll get from Beechwood aging. I can only tell you about the choicest hops. But if you really want to understand what makes Budweiser the king of beers, you have to taste it. Just taste it. The perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser. Open up a world of taste.
San Antonio Spurs looking to advance to the NBA Finals once again. They've got a commanding 25-point lead with just under 3 to play in the third. And let's go to our Coors Light freeze can.
The foundation of every great team is unselfish basketball. Hitting the open man. Here, Ginobili comes up, hits Elson in the middle of the lane. Elson just gets in. Does he search out a shot? No. He sees Duncan rolling to the rim. He touches it over to Duncan, and a great finish. They just pick you apart with great passing and unselfish play.
And not just the point guard like Parker, who has 5 assists. The front court, the bigs, do a nice job finding each other.
It starts with the big guy. When you have a superstar that's a willing passer on the post, that mentality becomes contagious.
Francisco Elson, whose minutes have been cut because Alberto is playing so well. Nelson and Alberto share the center duties. They both started a lot of games this year. But because Alberto has excelled in this series, his minutes cut. The native of the Netherlands, 7th Dutch player playing the NBA. And he's getting some minutes with Alberto resting. (77-51), a 26-point thrashing right now by the San Antonio Spurs. D. Brown and Ronnie Brewer, the rookies in, along with Millsap. Harpering inside, draws the foul before the shot, and not the penalty yet. Bowen picks up his third. Williams, you could tell, just couldn't go. Fisher didn't arrive till halftime. I didn't think it would have mattered the way San Antonio started this game.
Well, they came out like a team that's been there before, on a mission, played with great intensity, and really put the Jazz away early.
Brewer is fouled. A late whistle. He'll go to the line. Of course, they're trying to put up another banner. Odd years have worked well for the San Antonio Spurs. No, they're not looking at the banners right now.
This team wins the championship. You have to begin to put them in the discussion with some of the greatest teams ever. I'm talking about as far as a team is concerned, this team is precise, they're efficient, they're extremely well coached, and they're led by a superstar, an all-time great.
Well, they've won 3 titles in the last 8 years. Going for their 4th as Brewer knocks down the free throws.
And they're going to be doing it without another Hall of Fame player. Duncan's a Hall of Famer. No one else is. I think that's a testament to Duncan and the coaching of Greg Popovich.
Duncan, Elson on the tip. Spurs just running away. We still have just under 14 minutes left in the game. San Antonio is completely dominated. Araujo just chucks it over the rim and draws the foul.
And you look at the young Jazz player, Araujo and D. Brown and Brewer. It's important for these guys. It may look like junk minutes to try to climb back into this ball game and develop something for the future. Because I tell so many young players that somebody is always watching you. Go out and play the game the way it's supposed to be played.
And for the Jazz, they'll look back at game 4. They're only down by 1 heading into the fourth quarter. Only trailed by 4 with about 5.5 minutes to go, where it all unraveled. San Antonio just dominating down the stretch, and instead of the series being tied at 2, the Spurs able to come home with this 3-1 lead and take care of business tonight. Of course, not having a completely healthy Darren Williams hurt the Jazz as well.
Well, I'm the Utah Jazz and Jerry Sloan. There's still a lot of ball game left to be played. I don't know if I would have this group on the floor at this time. I would try to find a way to close the lead and put myself in a position where in the fourth quarter I have a chance to make a run. I don't know if I'd be waving in the white flag right now.
Oh, and that's a 2-pointer. Araujo with the rebound. And there's been some crazy comebacks even in the playoffs. Remember the Celtics against the Nets many years ago, but that's also Boston was playing at home. As Millsap goes across the lane, flips it up, shot won't go, gets his own rebound, tries it up again, blocked by Elson, and Alberto the rebound.
I'll tell you the mentality of the Spurs. Elson is one of the first guys in the gym working on his game. He could be upset about being taken out of the starting lineup, but here's a guy that's waiting for his moment and putting himself in a position to prosper when it comes.
Alberto, what a series he has had. 7 more points, 10 more rebounds. The 32-year-old in just his second year in the league, a star in Europe, now a role player, and he has embraced that role.
Well, last year, he couldn't even get on the floor, and his persistence came through this year where he started on the bench. Then he started. Now he's having a very successful playoffs. But, again, it goes to your mentality of your players. Do your players understand what it takes to win in this league, which is sacrifice, giving up minutes, giving up shots. Last year, Alberto gave up and sacrificed for his team. This year, he's being rewarded for those sacrifices.
See those numbers during the regular season, average 4 points, 4 rebounds. But it was tough for him last year because, again, he was a star over in Argentina. A star. He played pro ball in Spain, and he was hearing from his friends and family in Argentina, why aren't you playing? And then in the offseason, they got Elson. They signed Jackie Butler. And maybe his minutes were going to cut back, but he kept working. And he has really gained the confidence this year in his second year in the league with Greg Popovich.
Friends and family just don't understand. Sometimes you're not better than the guy that's playing in front of you. That's plain and simple. They don't see it because they're blinded by their love for that player. But coaches, as Elson dunks, coaches play. They're the most selfish people in the world. They play the people that are going to help them win.
Finally, he admits it.
I think this is therapy for him.
Hallelujah.
That's what the Spurs fans saying right now. The lead now 27 as we wind down the third quarter. Brewer, the jumper. There's going to be a big ovation here at the AT&T Center. And at the end of this third period, Vaughn kicks it out. Elson will try a 3. And that will end the third. The San Antonio Spurs putting on a clinic on the verge of making it to the NBA Finals.
Right now, time to even up the score. Right now, leave it all out on the floor. Right now, it's a whirlwind playoff tour.
celebration for the San Antonio Spurs as they come out for the fourth quarter with a 27-point lead here in Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals, looking for their fourth championship. They beat the Knicks in '99 with David Robinson, Tim Duncan, and of course then they beat the Nets and the Pistons in 2005. Now looking for their fourth championship. They still have a ways to go. As Elson misses a shot. And it looks as like they're going to play either the Detroit Pistons or the Cleveland Cavaliers, unless we see the greatest comeback in the history of the NBA.
Oh, we're not going to see it because we have a hobbled Darren Williams, 0 fast break points. They give up 34 points in the first, 28 points in the third. It's tough to beat this team when they're clicking on all cylinders.
Back in '99, Jeff, you certainly remember that. 2003 against New Jersey. The series against the Pistons 2005. You look at some of the other years, and you never know what could have happened. Back in 2004, that was when they played the Lakers, and Derek Fisher hit that shot with 0.4 of a second that completely changed that series. They were one of the best teams then. Last year against Dallas, perhaps one play as you finish up against the Mavericks in the conference semi, so they were right on the verge. Could have been a couple of more titles. I know.
I want to put an asterisk next to the '99 championship. Patrick Ewing injured, Larry Johnson injured, and Chris Dudley injured.
And you had no business being there in the first place.
Oh, we rocked your world in that. Allen Houston torched Reggie Miller.
Oh, you got to be kidding. There's still some open wounds, obviously. Yeah, that shot way off the mark. Millsap throws it ahead to Boozer.
The real deal is we should have beat them the next year again. They lucked out to get to the finals the next year.
You notice how he still says we?
I think we should charge this guy, man. Get a couch here.
Vaughn pushing it up to Barry, and Barry able to bank it in. San Antonio Spurs just with a brilliant performance, operating on all cylinders tonight. And a travel. And remember, all season long, it was Phoenix and Dallas. They were the #1 and #2 seeds. And San Antonio Spurs with the 3rd seed. And everybody kept saying, watch out, be careful of San Antonio and their experience. Of course, Dallas knocked off by Golden State. Phoenix being beaten. Vaughn out to Alberto. Won't go, and Boozer the rebound.
I'm on Berto. I'm upset. Jack Vaughn, you got to find me a better shot. I'm rolling in this series. I need to work on my field goal percentage.
85-58. Fisher can't get it to fall. It has been double figures since the end of the first quarter. A complete blowout, start to finish. Celebrations starting early here at the AT&T Center.
It's really a clinic in why did Jerry Sloan start his starters to start this quarter. There's no sense. You're already throwing the white flag. The Spurs smell blood, and Popovich now inserting some of his bench guys.
Big ovation for Bruce Bowen, and a huge ovation for Fabricio Alberto. Stop hitting the free throw. Meanwhile, you look at Utah, again, this has been a magical playoff run for them. As they opened up and defeated Houston in 7 games, winning 2 elimination games, winning Game 7 on the road, which rarely happens. Then they played the hottest team in the NBA playoffs, Golden State, and beat them in 5 games, advancing to the conference finals for the first time since '98. And with this young team, they're going to be deep in the playoffs for a lot of years to come.
They're going to be upset and frustrated about losing. But a couple of days away, they're going to realize just how special a season they had as a basketball team. Use this as a building block for a tremendous foundation and a tremendous future to come. Great job by Sloan. Great job by his cast of players. They have a lot to be proud of.
They won 51 games in the regular season. They had missed the playoffs the last 3 years, and Sloan said this was a critical year. They needed to get back to the postseason. He wanted the younger players to get that taste of what the playoffs were all about. And boy, did their 2 young stars do that. Darren Williams and Carlos Boozer Perhaps not Stockton and Malone, but those two are going to be operating together for a long time as Harper misses but draws the foul.
And the advantage when you get a taste of going this deep into the playoff, you really want more. You really desire and want to know how it feels like to ultimately win a championship. And I think that will be an advantage for Boozer, for Williams, and the rest of the cast of the Jazz. They are going to be hungry for more.
All right, for Utah, you touched upon this earlier, Jeff, for them to take the next step, the key area for them is they need a good, strong outside shooting guard.
Right, they need a 6'5", 6'6", 2 guard that is a legitimate scorer and who can get his shot off the dribble and raise up over the best perimeter defenders in this league. And that would make Tony Parker then guard Darren Williams. Bruce Bowen would have to take that scoring 2 guard.
Popovich has emptied his bench. Dana Woodrick, Matt Bonner, got Vaughn. Vaughn's given him some nice minutes. Vaughn, who played for Jerry Sloan his first 4 years in the NBA, now playing for Popovich, has done an excellent job in limited minutes playing defense and hitting some key jumpers as well.
He's been a solid backup point guard for his entire career. A guy that you can trust. You know when you call on him, he's going to be ready to play. An excellent professional.
How about Matt Harper? You're down by 29 and still battling for the ball.
Well, he's a guy that's not going to quit. Former teammate of mine when I played with the Jazz and brought it every single night. Sometimes even got on your nerves in practice because he never gives up.
Barry. Bonner draws the foul as Millsap hit him. And we'll have a timeout and give the Spurs fans another chance to stand up and cheer, although they've been doing it all night. San Antonio on their way to another NBA Finals appearance.
Honey, I think this might be our lucky day.
I think it might be.
I think this is what we've been waiting for.
I think it is. Yes! It turned blue!
Introducing the Coors Light Cold Activated Bottle. The mountains turn from white to blue when your beer reaches the perfect temperature.
It's blue like your eyes.
My eyes are green!
Only from Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
Manu Ginobili can make a shot from anywhere on the court. Is it magic or is it magnets? Tiny magnets placed on the ball, ensuring a strong attraction to the metal rim. Watch. And when Manu needs more magnets, Manu gets more magnets. Don't believe me? Watch the NBA playoffs and you'll see there's really no other explanation.
Celebration has been underway. San Antonio with a huge lead here in Game 5, our GNC game track.
Derek Fisher rides the game at halftime. Good to see him. Thoughts and prayers to the family. Darren Williams just 11 points, hobbled and not a factor at all in this ball game. Tony Parker, his presence sets the tone early for the San Antonio Spurs. 21 points, 5 assists, and Tim Duncan, 21 points, 7 rebounds. The great ones find a way to get it done.
How big of a blowout is it? They're doing the wave.
I didn't know people still did that.
That's a you're better than that. Are you kidding me? The wave. They're setting us back as a people.
By the way, I got a new rule change.
Uh-oh.
If you make it from half court, instant tie. Any shot, that way you're never out of it.
Karolinko inside, and he's fouled by Bonner. 8:13 remaining.
Oh, we really got to find this guy a job, man. Too much free time.
A full-time job.
A full-time job. Are you kidding me? When did you come up with that?
I've been thinking about that. Like, wouldn't that be great right now? They start chucking it up from half court. One goes in, it's tied. Then they win it at the buzzer.
Oh, you need help. Oh. Jazz, though, still battling. As old Jerry Sloan's team will do. Karolinko flips it up and in. They'll need a key next year for them. Get Karolinko back on track, healthy, and playing the type of great defense that he's capable of playing.
I think Kirilenko, the hardest part is adjusting to better offensive players around him. His role changed from being a primary scorer to now being a secondary scorer, and that's sometimes very difficult for players to adjust to.
Vaughn misses, ball knocked out of bounds. That'll come the other way.
I think it's a perfect situation for Kirilenko, a guy who struggled with his confidence during the course of the year, but if he embraces the role that's called upon him, when he plays around Boozer and Williams, he's a guy that can create havoc and be that third clog that really puts pressure on the defense.
Foul on Bonner. Fisher will go to the line.
And I think his best position is the 4. I think his quickness can then impact the game more. Unfortunately for him, he's playing on a team where you have great bigs in Okur and Carlos Boozer, so his minutes at the 4 has gone down over the years because of the composition of their roster.
Fisher hits the first. We remind you, tomorrow, Cleveland at Detroit, Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals. It's all even now at 2 apiece. Home team winning all 4 games so far. Coverage begins at 8. Then ABC next Thursday, Game 1 of the NBA Finals. It'll be here in San Antonio. Who the opponent will be still to be determined. Coverage begins at 8:30 Eastern. What do you guys think so far of Cleveland and Detroit?
I think it's a great series. Great basketball being played. Cleveland, all the pressure on them going back home, went home and responded. And LeBron James has played like an absolute man, giving his team an opportunity to go to Detroit and be ahead in the series.
After 2 subpar games, he's come up huge as Elson knocks down the shot. He's a fan favorite.
Looking at that series also, when you talk about guys being ready to play, Daniel Gibson, because he put himself in a position when the bell rang and when he was called upon to flourish, got the call and showed up big for the Cavs.
But Jeff likes to use his nickname, Ruby.
And I'll tell you what I think. I think Cleveland's one of the underrated great defensive teams in our league. Detroit gets their credit for their defense. San Antonio gets credit for their defense. Utah for playing hard. But Cleveland is a great defensive team.
And look what they did defensively against the San Antonio Spurs as they beat them twice this year. The interesting thing about that matchup would be Mike Brown, who's the head coach of the Cavaliers. He was an assistant for San Antonio when they won the championship in 2003. Very close with Greg Popovich. Of course, if it's Detroit, it's a rematch of the finals from a couple of years ago. Timeout here in San Antonio as the Spurs getting ready to go to the NBA Finals.
Get fly, get fly, get fly, fly, get fly.
When you combine the most powerful half-ton V8 engine on the road with over 400 horses of power at 20 miles per gallon, the way you move will never be the same again. The all-new 2007 GMC Sierra Denali. Experience the freedom of professional grade.
Gonna fly.
Finals start June 7th on ABC.
Coming up on SportsCenter, interviews and analysis live from San Antonio. Plus the latest on Kobe's career indecision in L.A. And does the Rocket regret signing with the Yankees? Find out on SportsCenter next.
Visit your Metroplex Cadillac dealer for this attractive offer.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA Western Conference Finals. Brought to you by GMC. We are professional grade.
6:22 remaining in the fourth quarter. What has been a blowout for the San Antonio Spurs. They've led by as many as 29, on the verge of winning the Western Conference Finals once again. Greg Popovich has done a great job, but he also talks about his assistants, including PJ Carlesimo. And we want to wish Carlesimo a happy birthday. Turns 58 today. And the Spurs have been asked for permission from a couple of teams to talk to him about being a head coach. Both Seattle and Orlando have requested to speak to him, and that'd be a great opportunity as Jock Bowen knocks it down. Carlesimo, of course, was the head coach in Portland and Golden State. Of course, it ended in Golden State with the whole Latrell Sprewell choking incident. But he deserves another chance. It would be a terrific head coach. There's Udrich is fouled. And Greg Popovich would be the first one to tell you this man should be a head coach in the NBA.
He did a great job at Portland. He did a very good job under trying circumstances in Golden State. He's always been a great defensive coach. He's only added to their defensive greatness here. And like you said, Mike, well qualified for another shot.
We asked Popovich if PJ's birthday was a distraction, and he said his birth was a distraction.
I tell you what, though, the guy is so special, he almost convinced me to go to Seton Hall.
Seton Hall's got a better campus than St. John's. No?
I'm not even going to respond. We're talking about greatness.
Brewer brings it out.
Seton Hall was in the Final Four.
Yeah, that's it, exactly.
Pass inside. Brewer throws it away. They were in the Final Four back in 1989. And PJ Carlesimo was the coach there. Udrich, the jump shot. And he'll jump it up at center court. It doesn't happen very often.
Boy, did they go at you at TNT last night as Udrich shoots this jump shot. Kenny Smith, man, he was upset that he didn't beat you out for that one-on-one head-to-head matchup.
Sometimes the truth hurts, and Reggie Miller thought about it and clear decision, honesty, and said, hey, Mark Jackson gets the edge. I respect that.
For those who didn't see it last night, our buddies at TNT in their post-game show, what they talked about was a possible basketball game between TNT and ESPN. They had certain matchups, and you were matched up against your New York City counterpart, Kenny Smith, and that was the only victory for ESPN, according to the TNT guys.
According to them, and the way that they, put the matches together. We got to upgrade also. When you add Grant Hill and Jalen Rose, you make yourself better as a team. And also, they didn't include Marv Albert. I got to give you the edge. I watched you knock down that 15-foot jump shot, my friend.
Brewer, meanwhile, hits the free throw.
Well, and also, he's just sucking up to Reggie Miller or Reggie Miller's sucking up to him because Mark gave him the ball all the time. That's why he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Jack was giving him the rock.
Sadly, we have veered off course tremendously here. Game 5 with all this garbage time and what was a dominant performance from the San Antonio Spurs. Here's Brewer, fouled by Elson. And Brewer will go to the free throw line.
But what you love about the Spurs is even in a game where it's a blowout, they don't quit. The guys come into the ball game and they continue to do the same exact thing. That time, Elson chasing down, wide open layup, contesting the shot, forcing Brewer to go to the line.
Brewer's dad, remember, played in the NBA. His dad, Ron, 8 years in the NBA for a bunch of different teams. Was on that great Arkansas team that went to the Final Four with Marvin Delp and Sidney Moncrief. And Ronnie, his son, 22 years old. First-round pick of the Jazz this year, 14th overall selection. We have some high hopes for him.
The incredible thing with him is he's a totally different player than his dad. It really is fun to watch the way he works before the game. The guy is committed to playing on a high level.
99-73. Just under 5 minutes remaining here in the fourth. For the Spurs, it's going to give them a week off. Again, game 1 of the NBA Finals, not till next Thursday. And who knows how long that Detroit-Cleveland series is going to go. Vano Udrich can't connect. Nelson the rebound.
And the advantage for the Spurs, knocking off the Utah Jazz, much needed rest. When you are the oldest team in the league, like we talked about in the Open, you can use the rest. This is a team that's not going to get stale and sluggish because they understand to still put the work in.
Brent Barry misfired. Jeff, as a coach, though, at this time, you want a whole week off?
I'd rather play in rhythm. Couple days off, get right back at it and play. And yet you don't want the extra games where you risk injury as well.
So how do you handle the next week if you're Greg Popovich?
I think he'll probably give him a couple days off, see where that the Detroit series goes as Garachek knocks in a 3, and then plan accordingly depending on how that series goes right up on through Thursday, where they'll get a couple good scrimmage days in, I'm sure, but not too much contact where you risk injury.
And they will have home court regardless of whether it's Detroit or Cleveland. And the NBA Finals is the 2-3-2 format. First 2 games would be in San Antonio, the next 3 in either Detroit or Cleveland.
And that's a coach's mentality. As a player, you want to get rid of the Utah Jazz and then watch the 2 Eastern Conference teams beat themselves up. The only downfall as a player for the Spurs is practice. The worst thing as a professional athlete, you don't want to practice. You'd rather play.
Yeah. Now we've heard from Allen Iverson, who's compadre right here.
3 minutes remaining here in the fourth. Nelson looking for an opening and knocks it down.
You know, Mark made the point, Mike, that San Antonio keeps playing very solid, good, fundamental basketball. And again, I think that's a credit to their professionalism and their coaches. And Utah does the same thing. You're not seeing wild ragtag play right now. You're seeing solid fundamental play.
But for Utah, it's tough to win here. This will be their 19th straight loss in San Antonio. They haven't won here since '99, and obviously a lot of the players, most of them changed. But it's been an impossible place for them to win. As Barry nails the 3. Little exclamation point.
Well, you just look at them continue to be efficient and play the right way. Tim Duncan enjoying it. The dribble penetration by Jock Vaughn. How many point guards coming in the garbage time trying to get their own? He made the play for Brent Barry.
D. Brown misses the layup. Barry the rebound. The 2-minute mark. And another standing ovation, much deserved for these San Antonio Spurs. Vaughn, little fancy move here in garbage time.
Take them to the streets, Jock Vaughn.
And again, certainly a tough ending for Utah, but they will be back. However, you look at the West next year, you know, Phoenix and Dallas want to come back. Golden State wants to add to what they did. It's not going to be easy in the Western Conference.
Same thing that Tony Parker talked about. You don't know what tomorrow brings. As a team, you want to capitalize on the moment. But the Utah Jazz have a lot to be proud about for what they've accomplished this season.
All right, now the moment for San Antonio. They're going to make another NBA Finals. Woodrick had his shot blocked, and a whistle, and a foul, and we'll have a timeout. 1:09 remaining until it's official. The San Antonio Spurs will go to their 4th NBA Final in the past 9 years.
I'll stop the world and melt with you. You've seen the difference and it's
inspiration pulled from your life. That's professional grade. With the simplest form of navigation available and safety features that are unparalleled, it's defining the category. Welcome to Acadia, the crossover from GMC.
San Antonio Spurs care about the community. Spurs Foundation, created by the San Antonio Spurs in '88 to support physically, emotionally, and economically disadvantaged youth in South Texas. Foundation has helped children bounce back from adversity with more than $1 million, $11 million in grants, scholarships, donations, and programs. NBA Cares, combining basketball and service to the community. Standing ovation after standing ovation for Tim Duncan and the Spurs. And the fiancée taking pictures of her favorite NBA team. Tony Parker and Eva Longoria will marry in July. What they hope is a couple of weeks after another NBA championship.
Did you see the size of that ring?
He, of course, has become such an enormous fan here at so many games. And you think about different players, is the ball battled for. Millsap lost it.
guys battling competitive juices, and they continue to say, hey, job well done at just basketball. Had a great time.
You saw Darren Williams, and what a coming-out party for the young point guard. A very special young player. Of course, banged up tonight, unable to really give it 100%. But he put on a show and opened a lot of eyes. But his veteran point guard counterpart, Tony Parker, was terrific again. He's with Michelle.
Yeah, and he's struggling to get the cap on. He wants this on television. Hey, Tony, it's one thing to say you want to put a team away. It's another thing to do it the way you guys did it. How would you describe the effort of your team tonight?
I think tonight we played great. Everybody from the starting five, from the bench, everybody made shots, and we had an unbelievable first quarter. And I think we won that game in the first quarter, and we kept the lead the whole game.
You know, Darren Williams was such a huge factor for Utah in this series. We saw you hug him at the end of the game. What did you say to him?
I just tell him he played great. He played unbelievable. That's what I told him, and he can keep his head up because he definitely played well against us.
Now you get 7 days off. There's the debate, rust versus rest. Where do you come down on that one?
I take the rest. We got a lot of old guys in our team, a lot of old guys, so I take the rest.
Yeah, you're one of the young ones. Enjoy the rest. I'm going to talk to one of the old ones, Tim Duncan. Tim, what does it mean to you, Tim, to get back to the finals, coming through a difficult West, and after last year's plantar fasciitis made you struggle so?
It's great. You know, it's about the journey, and we came a far way. Last year we had a tough finish. To come back this year, put the team back together, have a healthy year myself, and to go through 3 really, really good teams. It's great to be back here.
Congratulations, Tim.
Thank you.
All right, Mike, back to you.
Their 3rd finals in 5 years, 4th finals in 9 years. A 109-84 domination tonight as they win the Western Conference Finals in 5 games. Tomorrow night, Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals on TNT. We'll be back for the conference championship ceremony, but right now, let's head to Sports Center. Ceremony for the Western Conference Championship as the Spurs do it once again. So let's send it to the public address announcer, Stan Kelly.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, direct your attention to center court for a special presentation. Please welcome ESPN's Dan Patrick.
To honor your Western Conference champion San Antonio Spurs, I want to bring in a Texas native, one of the 50 greatest players of all time, a man who won 3 Western Conference championships, an NBA championship, and a pretty good dancer at that, Clyde Drexler. Clyde?
Thank you. Thank you, Dan. Wow. What a tremendous display of teamwork. I gotta say, you prevailed despite a terrific playoff run by an up-and-coming young Utah Jazz team. You are once again in the NBA Finals. Congratulations to the San Antonio Spurs, 2007 Western Conference Finals champion. Yeah!
Peter Holt, the chairman, CEO. Congratulations. How's it feel?
Oh, it always feels good to be here. This is wonderful. Thank you to our great fans in San Antonio, and give this team their #1.
Peter Holt, the chairman, CEO of the San Antonio Spurs. Timmy, come on in. Come here, Tim. You can hold that trophy later. Well, let me start with the obvious question. How's this feel?
Feels great to be back. Feels great to be back.
How long do you allow yourself to enjoy this?
At least through the night into tomorrow, and then we got to get ready for whoever's coming.
Well, how long will Coach Popovich let you enjoy this?
I think he's already done. It's over.
Okay. Yeah. He's camera shy, right?
Absolutely. Always is. But...
Hey, congratulations.
Thank
you. Bruce, come on in. How's it feel for you?
It's a situation where you're really thankful to be in this position because you know there's a lot of other guys that would love to be in this position, so you have to take the time to appreciate it.
You've gone through an awful lot during this year's playoffs. How does it feel after the culmination of this to just get to the Western Conference Finals?
It's great, but as our fans and my teammates understand that this is just part of the process, we still have a bigger job ahead of us.
Good luck, Bruce. Thank you. I want to remind you that we will see you next Thursday back here in San Antonio to start the NBA Finals. Let's go back to SportsCenter.
That's a first, I think. Hey, what's good? With Reese Davis, I'm Scott Van Pelt. SportsCenter begins once again with those underappreciated winning machines, the San Antonio Spurs.
Methodical, as you pointed out earlier. They have all of the pieces conducive to winning a championship, and they're going back to the NBA Finals. A fourth NBA title now, just 4 wins away after San Antonio smashes the Jazz, and the Spurs have certainly been aboard the Express on the way to their Western Conference title. Their 4th appearance in the NBA Finals, all coming since 1999. They won it in 99, 03, and 05. In closeout games, you can always count on Tim Duncan. 21-6 in series closeout affairs, averaging over 23 points per game. Had nearly that in this one. And Greg Popovich, what about his record in closeout games? 21-7. That is the best percentage in NBA history, and he hopes to be able to close out one more in the NBA Finals. Scott?
Reese, thank you very much. We have Greg Anthony joining us here in just a moment. And when you look at this San Antonio team, and Greg told us, he almost lectured us when they took out Phoenix. Don't tell me that this isn't a sexy team. Don't tell me this isn't a great team. And they showed us all once again what they are about. And I think Darren Williams, we all saw in this series, he is a star on the rise. He will be a star. Tony Parker is a star right now. How important is he to the Spurs?
Well, he's really the engine, if you think about it. You know, look, the anchor is going to be Tim Duncan with what he does. But really, Tony Parker is the catalyst. He's the guy that comes out and sets the tone with his intensity, not just offensively, but also defensively. Remember, Darren Williams being injured. And what do you do if you're Tony Parker? You go right for the kill. And he did that from the get-go and set the tone. He let everybody know that this team was going to be in attack mode offensively, and they were relentless in that first quarter. 34-15, over 60% from the field for their team. And again, Tony Parker, when he plays this way, it almost makes this team unbeatable. The consistency they've shown throughout the course of this series and in the conference semis against Phoenix, really as good a basketball as I've seen in maybe the last decade.
You look at a point guard from France, a couple of players in Oberto and Ginobili from Argentina. You have some players certainly from America, but they are a team of the world of 2007. This is what the game has become. It is a world game. The Spurs reflect that. They clearly are the best team in the world, or so it would appear. How do you assess?
And you know what, you talked about earlier. You got to appreciate the way they play. You couldn't ask for a team. There's nobody who plays as hard and as consistently for 48 minutes as the San Antonio Spurs. The chemistry they display both offensively and defensively, the teamwork, the quiet, consummate leadership that you get from a guy like Tim Duncan. And again, a guy like Greg Popovich, who never allows his team to take a possession off. They're relentless. They have the complete package. They have a great bench. They have a great understanding of how you win. And the most important thing, the unselfishness. From 1 through 15 on that roster, they don't care about getting any of the accolades. They only want to win. And you should appreciate that if you're a fan of sport, because this team has been as good as any over the last 8 years.
In a word, before we move to the other big story of the day, which is Kobe Bryant, in a word, does it matter who comes out of the East? Are the Spurs the favorite regardless?
They're the favorite.
Okay.
There's no question about it. Coming into this conference finals, I thought Detroit, from a matchup standpoint, would definitely be a team that could give them problems because they match up again. Tim Duncan struggles with Rasheed Wallace. Chauncey Billups, bigger, stronger, will give Tony Parker issues. But I think the cohesiveness that they've shown over the last 2 series, and the fact right now Tim Duncan being healthy and playing as well as he's played ever, I believe this team right now is going to be difficult to beat.
That was more than one word, but it was worth it.
I know.
Solid
I
analysis. I understand. And
It is, Dan, and you know, you and I and Steven have been at so many season enders for the Utah Jazz over the years, and Jerry Sloan in his last press conference this season would be asked time after time about whether the window of opportunity is closing on Stockton and Malone and him as coach, and that's a totally different scenario than Jerry Sloan will face now. The Utah Jazz have the 5th youngest roster in the NBA. Darren Williams is 22 years old. Carlos Boozer is 25 years old. Paul Millsap, a rookie. The window is wide open, you'd have to think, for the Utah Jazz, even in a loaded Western Conference where they're going to have to fend off a lot of teams. Dallas, of course, San Antonio first and foremost, again, the Phoenix Suns. You see these new draft choices going to Portland and Seattle, but still, the Utah Jazz are sitting in a pretty nice place right now in which to tinker with that roster a little bit, but they've got young players, all-star players, and Jerry Sloan is not going to be asked about the window being closed after this closeout.
He might if Okor still fails to produce. Let me just throw that out there right now. Let's be clear about something here. What we witnessed tonight in present form was an annihilation in every sense of the word in Game 5 of this series. Why? Because Darren Williams was not healthy. His ankle was hurting. We know he was hobbled, but more importantly, Tony Parker saw that he was hobbling and instantly attacked like a shark in infested waters. He saw that this guy was injured, went right after him, and that was the game right there. The San Antonio Spurs had a 19-point lead in the first quarter. It was pretty much over from that point on. I want to take a moment to give some props to the Utah Jazz because Darren Williams is a young star. Carlos Boozer is a star. They've got the nucleus, the cornerstone of their franchise firmly in place. However, you still have Okor who needs to show up. You still have Kurylenko who needs to show up. I'll throw Matt Harpring in there too. A lot of good parts. However, they didn't get it done. There's a reason for it. They were an inferior team, and that's what this came down to.
Let me ask you, this is the oldest team in the NBA, the San Antonio Spurs. Who do you think they want to face in that next round?
Well, you'd want to face a team with less experience, as we just saw with Utah. Utah's a playoff neophyte. Cleveland's not a playoff neophyte, but this would be the first time for most of them that deep. Eric Snow has some NBA Finals experience, but even LeBron James doesn't. And as great as LeBron's learning curve has been in his series against Detroit, you'd want the team with less experience. The Detroit Pistons, most of them, they're wearing championship rings. Why play a team of recent former champions when you can play a team that hasn't been there? They won't say it. I don't expect them to say it. They'd want to play Cleveland.
I respectfully disagree with you, Mr. Wilbon.
I'm stunned.
You do not want to go up against LeBron James simply because that is the one person you have absolutely no answer for. Certainly the Detroit Pistons with their championship pedigree is extremely formidable, but without Ben Wallace, they're also a team that's not the same defensively as we've seen in these playoffs, despite how ugly things have looked, how it seems people are playing defense. They don't really have too many answers because you got Rasheed Wallace down there, then Chris Webber, Antonio McDyess. That's not what it's about. They're not the same team that they were 2 years ago, and LeBron James is on another planet right now. Somebody has awakened the giant. I say you don't want to go up against him.
I respectfully disagree and go with my boy Wilbon because there's no question they want the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Detroit Pistons have been there. They've done that. They have championship experience. The Cleveland Cavs have no idea what they're in for. They just happen to have a great matchup with the Detroit Pistons. They play them well. They brought them to 7 last year. They're probably going to bring them to 7 this year. San Antonio beats either team, but they rather play Cleveland.
All I remember is this. The most recent champion, the team that's still a champion until somebody beats them, are the Miami Heat. And why? Because one person. Don't give me Antoine Walker. Don't give me Gary Payton. Don't even give me the Diesel, Shaquille O'Neal. Give me Dwayne Wade. You couldn't find one answer for this guy last year. And LeBron James in an NBA Finals, you're telling him he's just 4 wins away from a world championship just a year after Dwayne Wade did the same thing. I'm sorry. That's something I fear if I'm a team aiming for a championship.
Dwayne Wade did it to the Mavericks. He's not going to do that to the Spurs.
Okay. We do know the San Antonio Spurs will be hosting Game 1 of the NBA Finals here on Thursday night. And when they get to the Finals, they win. They've been there 3 times, and there's the hardware to prove it. They're going to a 4th in the last 9 years. San Antonio Spurs, your Western Conference champs. Now back to you, Scott.
Fellas, thanks very much. We will head back to San Antonio, where for the fourth time in 9 years, the Spurs will head on reaction from the underappreciated greatness that is the San Antonio Spurs. Daisuke, a career high of the worst kind. He gets lit up by the Cleveland Bats, but could the Bo Sox bail him out? At first he wants to leave, then he wants to stay. Does Kobe really know what he wants? We will connect the dots for you as best we can when SportsCenter returns.
The NASCAR Push Series at Dover, Saturday at 2:30 on ESPN2.
Find what you're looking for. Budweiser Select. Brewed longer with hand-picked Bavarian hops. The one beer with exceptional taste that's never filling. Step up to Select.
Another night at the office, another trip to the finals for Tim Duncan. 21 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists as the Spurs, led by Tony Parker, Duncan, Ginobili, and company, housed the Utah Jazz in 5 games, 109-84 the final. And Duncan, of course, is trying to add to his playoff legacy. Look at the comparison to Shaquille O'Neal, and Duncan stacks up quite nicely. Each has been Finals MVP 3 times. Now Duncan can match Shaq's total of 4 NBA titles, plus Tim, 4 years younger than Shaquille. San Antonio Spurs are on their way to the NBA Finals again after beating the Jazz in Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. San Antonio hasn't exactly been pushed to the limit yet. In fact, since losing Game 1 of their first-round series against the Nuggets, they've won 12 of their last 15 playoff games, thanks largely to the big fella in the middle, Tim Duncan.
Carlos and Darren and Memo and AK, those guys are going to be around for a long time. They're going to continue to get better. I think this was a great playoff experience time for them. I think they're only going to build on that. And Coach Stone does it year in and year out. He puts together teams that play the right way, that play hard, and you add the kind of talent that they have, they're going to be good for a lot of years.
And I think what we have to take from this is that we have to realize that this opportunity is not for free. This doesn't just happen to you during your NBA career. This is something that you earn. We didn't get to this point on accident. And if we want to ever get to this point again, we have a lot of work to do.
A moment ago, you heard Tim Duncan graciously praising the opposing coach, Jerry Sloan. How about a little love for Duncan's own coach? In closeout games, Greg Popovich is 21-7. That is the best record in NBA history in potential closeout games among coaches who've had at least 15 such opportunities.
Back to the bases, a 5th win for Baltimore would be a season high. Gil Mesh, 0-2 ERA, almost 12 his last 2 starts. Here, Miguel Tejada, robbed by Mark Teahan, former Oreo. Mesh, 7 1/3, 4 hits, 1 earned, 5 Ks. Bottom 5, Eric Bedard. He just gives Esteban Herman the gas face. Orioles' starting pitching's been great. Their bullpen's been an abject disaster. Here, they're given a lead. Jay Payton brings home Freddie Bynum, 1-0 O's, and then Jermon swinging. Ball gets by Paul Paco. Herman out at first. It's Strays and Natty Base. Won 5 in a row. The best of the day, we count them down from 10 to 1. Top plays, and we begin with the Rangers and the A's. Milton Bradley just back from the DL. A good way to get back on the DL is to have a ball hit you in the head. Milton, duck, and now put your hand up and hope. A's win 6-1.
Milton Bradley showed some improvisational skills. So too did Edwin Encarnacion, though his appeared to be a bit more planned. Abs Lance Berkman as the Reds win it 4-3 behind that gem from Encarnacion.
Coco Crisp 0 for 4 at the dish, but he has become a regular with catches. I believe we're going to see one of them later. But here, Casey Blake, robbery. Another play on the way from this one. Yeah.
At number 7, back to the Jazz and the Spurs. First quarter was just a clinic for the Spurs. Parker to Duncan for the alley-oop. 25-point win for San Antonio. Shot 65% in the first.
They call Ray Emery the Razor, and he was sharp. Though here, as Lefty Drizel used to say, the hard I work, the lucky I get. Same Pusilani, that was going in, but it hit the crossbar, and Ray pounced on it. More coming from this one.
At number 5, Padres and Pirates, Josh Bard test Jack Wilson, and Jack Wilson, the great stop, and starts the 6-4-3. Oh, Wilson does that very nicely.
That's pretty. I like those unis, too. You like those?
I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Great park, great unis. To get that team win a few more games and be in business. Here we go with Martin snagging the Miguel Tejada liner.
Number 3, Senators Ducks.
Here comes Paulson speeding in. Right wing shot. Score! Sammy Paulson snapped one by Emery with a wicked shot.
Wicked enough to make it a 1-0 game.
Remember earlier when I was talking about Coco Crisp? That's because I was ready for this play right here. Oh, Coco laying out, getting dirty. He does this often. Red Sox, though, lost 8-4.
And the number 1 play from the White Sox-Twins game tied at 6. Tadahito Iguchi fly to deep left field, and Jason Kubel was there to pull back the home run. Twins ended up with a literal walk-off, winning 7-6.
Call of the day, brought to you by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
80th Scripps Spelling Bee is Thursday. Over the years, Reese, since the drama, the pageantry that is the Spelling Bee. Coverage begins 10 a.m. right here on ESPN. The finals will be on prime time on ABC. Competition actually began Wednesday, and they whittled the field down from 286 to 107. You really want to feel just inadequate as a grown man. Watch these young boys and girls spell words that you don't know the definition of, much less have the ability to spell.
I heard one of the contestants saying that you had to get lucky and hope they asked you the words you knew how to spell. I was like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
They know a lot of words. There are a lot of those. There's also plenty of softball coming your way. The NCAA Women's College World Series begins on ESPN with a Thursday doubleheader. DePaul and Washington at 1 Eastern, Arizona State and Northwestern at 3 o'clock Eastern time.
I believe the Marlins beat the Cubs. We didn't show you that one, 9-0. Also, you'll have Barry Melrose and Steve Levy on the next Sports Center. Mike Ivoroni, new head coach. Mark Ivoroni, the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm Scott.
I'm Reese. We'll see you.
I just kept talking. I couldn't stop talking. I kept going.
Hello, everyone. This is NBA Fast Break. He's Greg Anthony. I'm Mark Morgan. Thanks so much for joining us. Does Kobe Bryant really want out of L.A.? Well, we'll have the latest on that story in a moment. But first, we take you to San Antonio, where the Spurs were looking to close out the Jazz in Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals, and the Spurs wasted little time in this one. First quarter, they come out roaring. Watch Tim Duncan. The fundamentals off the glass.
Started off just with such great energy, but Tony Parker really just went into attack mode against Darren Williams all throughout that first quarter. And you can tell this guy wanted to get this series over with real quick.
And Parker finding Duncan on the alley-oop, and suddenly the Spurs are up 14. Robert Horry kicking it out to Bruce Bowen for 3, and the lead is 17.
Game over.
Well, not yet. And as Greg said, Parker to the rim, a 14-0 lead for a run for the Spurs. Rather, they led 19 after the first. And right here, Greg, all of a sudden the Jazz lose Michael Finley.
Well, I don't know how. You know, Michael Finley is an opportunist, and he's there for the bucket.
Later in the second, San Antonio up 19. Oh, it's Duncan. A fadeaway jump hook.
I tell you, what a difficult shot. Again, but they were in such a zone in that first half. They could not play any better basketball.
Parker and the foul on Darren Williams, his third. Parker finished.
Game over.
Parker finished with 21, as did Tim Duncan. Derek Fisher makes it to the game, coming back after visiting his sick daughter in New York City. Francisco Elson, the nice pass to Duncan in the third. Spurs keep right on rolling.
They were just so consistent. And again, this is really the sign of a championship caliber basketball team, because everybody who played in this game was effective.
And they kick it around to Elson, who finishes with a baseline jumper. Brent Berry, that's his specialty, knocking down the triple. Spurs up 104-78 after that bucket. Matt Bonner, Greg. Matt Bonner getting
when it rains, it pours. Buckets for Bonner.
Bonner getting a run. He nails the 3. The Spurs have now beaten the Jazz 19 straight times in San Antonio. All 12 Spurs players played at least 10 minutes. San Antonio led by as many as 29. The Spurs advanced to the NBA Finals for the 4th time in franchise history.
We're thrilled to have the opportunity to go to the finals, but first, it's important to congratulate the Jazz for a fantastic season and for being back.
I really don't care who we play. Detroit, Cleveland, both are very good teams, very physical, and so I really don't care. It doesn't matter. We're going to prepare for both and see what happens.
We're enjoying the win. We're enjoying the night. We'll turn that corner here in a day or two and start getting prepared for that.
Greg, as you see, Greg Popovich and the Spurs even keel as always. They're early on in this game. They just ran away from the Jazz. In your mind, was there one specific thing that enabled the Spurs to do that?
I think coming into the game, I really believe that the Utah Jazz accepted the fact that San Antonio was a better basketball team, in part because of experience. I think that's something that San Antonio had over there. And just the mindset. This team, from a consistency standpoint, they are so relentless when they go into attack mode. They play as hard as anybody in this league for 48 minutes. They get great consistency. They have a real good appreciation of why they're a successful basketball team. Plus, they're unselfish. They don't have any ego. To me, I think they are the most underappreciated dynasty maybe in the history of professional sport, because nobody gives this team and Tim Duncan the legitimate credit they deserve, as well as Greg Popovich.
And the one thing they can do, Greg, is we see they can close the deal. The Spurs shut down the Jazz at the first opportunity, just like they did with the Suns and Nuggets in the first 2 rounds. And look where Greg Popovich stands with the best winning percentage in potential closeout games in NBA history, winning 75% of the time, rather. So as we look ahead now, how do the Spurs, do you think, stack up against either of the teams that they would meet in the NBA Finals, either the Cavs or Pistons?
Well, I think right now they stack up well against anybody. I think that's the one thing where they have an advantage. I don't see them becoming complacent, because that's the one area you would worry about with the team like the San Antonio Spurs. Right now they're clicking on all cylinders. They're getting great play at the center position from Humberto and Elson. The supporting cast has really stepped up. Michael Finley at times, Bruce Bowen at times, and then the big three have just really thoroughly dominated since about the second game in that Phoenix Suns series. They have played as well as that trio has played. And if that continues, it's going to be hard for anybody to beat this team. Just great balance. You got the dominant anchor down low with Tim Duncan. You got the great speed and versatility of Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili. You got the big shot ability of Robert Horry. This team really has no weakness. And the other thing they bring is the total mental toughness and a disposition that's all about winning. You got to love the way this team plays. They're a sexy team as well. I don't want to hear any more of that crap about, well, Phoenix is the high-flying sexy team. This is a sexy basketball team because they get it done. Hey, Tony Parker, Eva Longoria, that's not sexy? Come on, man.
Well, I think that's a show for another network, but I think the Spurs certainly would appreciate you saying that. West plays East just twice every year, and you see, interestingly enough, San Antonio swept Detroit this season, but former Popovich assistant Mike Brown and his Cavs took both meetings with the Spurs during the regular season. Straight ahead, what exactly does Kobe Bryant want? We will chronicle his contradictive day next. Plus, LeBron is feeling it. The Cavs have knotted the Eastern Conference Finals at 2 and now look to grab control in Auburn Hills. This is NBA Fast Break.